Hello, everybody, and welcome to the tier list. Today, we have a very exciting episode for you guys. Today, we are looking at video game franchises. Now, the tier lists are as followed. We've got Platinum for the best, Gold for second, Silver for third, Bronze for fourth, and in the bin for fifth. Today, I am joined by Adam Collins.
How you doing, guys?
Neil Hardman.
Hello.
Ash Carolan.
Hello.
And Ben Ritson.
Sup?
How are you all doing, guys? Been all right?
Good. I mean, yeah, I'm loving the full name and thing. It's very formal.
Oh, thank you very much. I've been practicing in the mirror.
Next week, you'll be saying Mr. Ritson, Mr. Harden, and Mr. Collins.
Get a round of applause as the enter.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, without further ado, let's crack on. And we're going to start with Neil. So, what have you got for us?
Shall we start this episode with a bang?
Oh, yes, please.
Start with an absolute juggernaut of a video game franchise, the Grand Theft Auto franchise. Probably the biggest franchise in all of gaming, really. Revolutionary in the early 2000s in its use of the open world environments in games. Grand Theft Auto 5 being one of the biggest games ever. But obviously a big question now of future direction as the criticism mounts for Grand Theft Auto Online and the announcements that Grand Theft Auto 5 is coming to the PS5.
Yeah, first game on the PS5, a game that came out 7 years ago.
You know, it's kind of bad when it has literally outlived an entire console.
I mean, it came out on the PS3, so it's going to be across 3 different consoles, which is, I mean...
But you could look at that as a good thing, though.
I know, yeah. I mean...
Longevity of the game.
Longevity, yeah.
Tells me that little kids have got their hands on their parents' credit cards too much.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you could say that.
Think about it. What other game that you started playing 7 years ago you're still playing now? Like, not many.
Quite a lot.
Not the same.
Well, not many for me.
Well, let's be honest. Let's be honest. When PS5 comes out, if we were to get the PS5, we would probably get GTA along with it.
Paddy, Mangan, it's backwards compatible, the PS5. We already have GTA for the PS5 because we've got it on the PS4.
I'll get it anyway. You know, money to burn, lads.
Yeah.
What money to burn? You're doing a Masters.
Sponsorship, maybe?
Yeah, I get sponsored by everyone.
Yeah. Look, at the end of the day, as Neil points out, it is the biggest video game franchise of all time. You could there are some you could talk about. One in particular is on this list, but in terms of prestige towards how the games are rated as well, nothing's really else going to top it. But they are overrated.
I mean,
not overrated in the sense that they're bad, but they're seen as perfect games when they're not.
Okay, well, I've only played the 5th one to go off, but the 5th one is an unbelievable game. The story, the campaign is fantastic, entertaining, hilarious, you know, everything you want, and ridiculous, but in a good way. And then the online is so much fun. We've all played that a lot together, and we've all had some fun times, apart from when Collins accidentally spins someone out. So, I mean, for me, it'd be in Platinum, but
it's not just the 5th game, no. It's
Of
about
course.
all the other games as well, which again I haven't played either because my parents wouldn't let me. But but if we were just basing it off 5, I'd put it in Platinum as well. But...
However, it does have to be said that San Andreas is quite fondly known as one of the best that there is. Even
Yeah,
with 5.
is that the 4th?
No, that is 3.
Oh, that's sorry. Yeah, I did hear that the one of the orders, maybe it was San Andreas, was like also known as like one of the best in that. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the 4th one is also held very highly too. And there was some Easter eggs in the 5th one about the 4th one, I think, from what I can remember.
Yeah, one of the bigger Easter eggs is during the first heist setup when they're talking about putting a crew together. The joke's made by Lester, who goes, well, there was this guy making a lot of noise in Liberty City, but he's gone quiet. That being who you played as in GTA 4. But I think a big thing you've got to point out is that no one talks about the problems with these games, and then the new one comes out, and then suddenly the previous game has a ton of problems that people want to talk about because the new games magically fixed them all. GTA 4 was heavily criticized for how rubbish its driving was, and GTA 5 isn't that much better.
I quite like the GTA 5 driving.
Yeah, same. But I mean, Collins, there's a difference between not liking the driving and being bad at the driving. So,
It's a
which your
valid
race record
criticism.
would suggest.
It's a valid criticism pointed out by people in the game about the game.
But I think out of all the racing games I've played over recent years, GTA 5 is maybe the most fun one I've played.
That's because GTA 5 has a level of creativity that most racing games don't have.
Yeah, that's fair
Racing
enough.
games nowadays feel the need to either go only wacky and crazy, i.e. your Mario Karts, your Sonic Racing, or your party game races, and then you have Need for Speed and Gran Turismo where they're super, super serious and so cool about how serious their racing style is and how realistic our driving is. And GTA kind of gives you the option to go with both, but that's but thanks to its heavy support on the online community. Having said that, I think that's not really something that you can credit Rockstar or the franchise with. That's just an amazing community helping enhance a great game.
Can I say, up to now, hasn't the conversation been a bit GTA 5 centric? How about the earlier games?
Well, to be honest, that's because I think most of us have only played that one. So, but if you played any of the others, go for it.
Yeah.
I like to think that most people know the story of GTA 3, the first true open world game as we think of it in the modern sense.
Mm-hmm.
The first true. Like, think of how many games that GTA 3 ended up inspiring, from the future Grand Theft Autos to like even fantasy games. Think like the Elder Scrolls and stuff like that. How well they've benefited from having open world environments. Any game with an open world environment can probably trace the creativity of its environment back to GTA 3. Which is a real testament to the influence of the franchise in gaming in general.
Well, that is really true, because GTA 3, as much as people, especially in this modern time, remember mostly GTA 5 because of what it's done, GTA 3 was a pioneer for that sort of thing. And that's, it's remarkable, really, that it's created such a legacy.
It really has changed it, hasn't it? I mean, like, before that time, games primarily linear, right? Look now and think how many games out there are linear. Games don't really aspire to be linear anymore, do they?
No.
Open worlds.
Right. Yeah, so before we talk about this too much, we should probably put it somewhere on there.
Well, no, because there's something left over, an elephant in the room here of you're forgetting about GTA 1 and 2.
Yeah, who's played them?
I was about to bring that up because I was just looking through the reviews now. The first two games don't do too well, with about a 6 and a 6.7 from IGN. But the 3, 4, and 5 all absolutely smash it. Obviously, that's not everything, but the first two games aren't on the same level as the last three, so maybe that should be weighed in to when you're putting in the franchise as a whole into one of the tiers.
1 and 2 are top-down bird's-eye view games where you essentially where no one remembers the story, no one remembers the gameplay, and then everyone talks about the first game being GTA 3. But like you said, you've got to bring that into it. The driving and fighting in GTA 1 and 2 are laughable compared on the PS1 when you compare it to things that were out there already. And then GTA 3 obviously revolutionizes the game, but it also benefited from an amazing soundtrack, which I think is a lot of people's first choice when they're talking about their favorite part. and then GTA 4 helps continue it with a very good gameplay, and then you build on to GTA 5, which is stalling. Does not
One
want to
last thing.
move on.
One last thing I just want to say is I think it's kind of remarkable how they released GTA 2 in I think 1999, and you're saying about how that was a bird's eye view type game. It wasn't the best, and no one really remembers it. And then 2 years later, they released GTA 3, which was completely revolutionary. So in those 2 years, they managed to go from one end of the scale to the other, which I know it's not really. I just thought it was an interesting thing to point out. Really, I didn't notice that before. But anyway, probably it's time to put this in one of the tiers. So Neil, since it's you're the one you put up front, why don't you go first? Where have you put this?
I reckon we've kind of missed an elephant in the room.
I'll go on.
Perhaps the future direction of Grand Theft Auto.
Okay.
I mean, have we really considered for example, the much maligned online economy these days, the grind that has been established in GTA Online, where it takes days and days of playing to afford a simple vehicle?
It really does, but that's just to make you buy a shark card, which is incredibly overpriced for the start.
Yeah, because which is the problem.
We have to take that into account anyway.
It's the exact reason why we're not getting GTA 6 with the launch of the PS5, like so many people hoped when they saw a Rockstar trailer at the launch event.
There will definitely be other games in the course of this podcast that raise those kind of considerations of is this really a good place for video games to be going in general? GTA is a big example of the controversy around that. Anyway, though, thinking about where it goes on this list, it's a very, very, very seminal and important franchise, and the games since 3 have mostly been top quality. Revolutionary, perhaps. I would probably put it. To be honest, it's probably a platinum level franchise, isn't it? It's the biggest alpha.
I have no disagreements about putting it in platinum, to be honest.
No, neither do I. I'd put it in platinum as well.
Like you said, it has its faults, but it is still a revolutionary.
No game's perfect.
franchise.
Like being perfect is not the criteria for being platinum.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
To me, it's gold, but I can accept platinum.
Yeah,
I think there are better franchises out there.
Fair enough.
Fair enough. Do you want me to go next? I'll pick one of my picks, which is Ratchet and Clank.
Oh, here we go.
I do. There are certain games in this franchise I really love, like Cracking Time, Tools of Destruction, All for One. They're just really fun games, and it's just a really fun franchise. But I haven't put this as high as you'd think. I put it silver because, again, there's still quite a lot of not so good games to go with the good games, which is why I've kind of met in the middle. I don't know if you guys have played it.
So how come
You are so right.
How come you putting it there then?
I've just told you. Well, no, because there's some really good games and there's some really not so good games. Okay. Some of the more of the recent ones have let themselves down. I can't even remember the name of the last one I played. It was that unmemorable, but that's why I've gone silver.
Was the most recent one you played the most recent one Ratchet and Clank?
I don't think so, but anyway, it doesn't matter. I played it; it was rubbish. But Cracking Time is one of the best games I've ever played, so I couldn't put it anywhere below silver.
I think you're right there. It's a very fair assessment. It's one of those where it didn't really grow as the time went. It came out pre GTA 4, obviously the original ones, and you can see that with the way that it grows as a franchise. It starts quite light-hearted and colourful in the first couple, you'd agree?
Yeah.
And then suddenly, as you get later on, I think it's particularly Ratchet Deadlocked. It's sort of it becomes so much more combat focused and gun heavy and I'm not saying there aren't guns, but more like combat like Halo and GTA rather than what you'd come to expect. And I think that's why it contributed in its downfall. it went away from what it was known.
Yeah, I remember the last boss battle in the last game I played, and I couldn't do it. It was that difficult. And I think this is meant to be kind of a light-hearted, fun game. I don't mind it being, a bit more difficult last boss battle, but like,
Was it as difficult as the Dead Island boss battle at the end?
oh, the one that takes 10 seconds to complete.
Stop bringing that up.
Now, why, that's a serious question. Why is Dead Island not in our top video game franchises?
Because, mate, it would automatically be platinum. There'd be no debate.
I didn't want to waste 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5
Well,
minutes,
we wasted-
ironically,
we-
how long it takes to complete the game.
May I say that I completely disagree with
Ooh.
the categorization of it? Because I don't think Ratchet and Clank is necessarily a fun, light-hearted game. I actually argue that it turned more fun, like completely opposite. Perhaps I'm not focusing so much on gameplay here, more character. But of course, in Ratchet and Clank, the original, one of the key things about that was like there was a certain amount of animosity between Ratchet and Clank. Like their personalities didn't really gel. There's a really good story there of like two people with opposite personalities coming together to save the world and then becoming friends. It's a great story, absolutely great story, and I love it. Kind of has that little bit of grit to it. But now you look at the, I think it's the latest Ratchet and Clank. No, it's not the latest. The one that went with the movie.
That is the latest one.
Is it? Oh,
Yeah,
interesting.
it's been
Anyway.
4 years.
That, of course, retreaded a lot of the first one, but they completely removed that element. It's basically Clank shows up on Ratchet's home planet, and they're best friends forever. I would put forward the view that Ratchet and Clank has lost its edge in recent years.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think Cracking Time was much more like deep in terms of a storyline, in terms of a deep game, but and then he went to like All for One, which was it still had its purpose. It was fun as like a co-op multiplayer, but as a full game, it wasn't as well rounded. And
Well, Cracking Time was meant to be the end of the franchise.
yeah, I think that's a common theme with a lot of these like franchises going on a bit too long just for the money, but that's why I put it silver anyway.
I reckon they've kind of tried to turn the Ratchet and Clank franchise. It's basically become movie and kid friendly now, and that makes me incredibly sad, because I think that really limits how the games have been feeling in recent years. Like they announced the one for the PS5 that looks really cool, but I can already kind of tell that it's not going to have the tone of the first. I'd probably say the first 4 Ratchet and Clank games that I really liked. 1, 2, 3, and I quite like Deadlock too. It's a bit different, but I still think it had that tone. But now, I feel like the series just has absolutely zero edge, and I don't understand why anyone over the age of maybe 10 would be very interested in playing it. And that makes me sad.
You're dissing your Paddy.
I don't play it anymore because of that reason, basically.
Mangan, Ritson, you got your point?
Yeah.
I would kind of agree with what I would say that it's a good but not great franchise overall due to some of the points that have already been talked about. It's not a game that I think I've played like 2 of them. I'm talking years and years ago. I remember I had fun, but it wasn't spectacular. So I probably didn't play one of the amazing ones that Paddy and Neil have said. But I do remember, and I've played them with friends like Nathan, like 10 years ago, like ages and ages ago. But it was a fun game. So anything less than silver would be harsh, but I'm not sure about anything higher either.
Yeah, Mangan?
Honestly, I can't really say I've been massively into the franchise itself. It just wasn't one of those things that really interested me. So I'm happy to go along with what you guys go along with, to be honest.
I think, the consensus there is silver.
Yeah.
I think we should vote though. Neil, what were you gonna? Because you disagreed on the placing. What would you say it was?
As much as I'm dissatisfied with the current direction of the franchise, I think basically all the games released up to now, gameplay-wise, have been extremely fun, I would say. I don't like where it's going. However, I do think that the franchise has had so many good games. I will put it in gold, and I hope
Wow.
it can be there in the future. I really do.
I'm gonna stick with silver.
Alright.
I'm sticking with silver.
I'm sticking with silver, but due to the lack of times I've played it, I don't think my vote should really mean too much.
Yeah, but
But
I
it
think
looks
so.
like
I
it's
think
going to go in
silver's
there
fair.
anyway.
I think
Yeah.
silver's. We'll go with that.
Okay. You know what? Rich, do you want to go next?
I will go next, and I'm going to go with Star Wars Battlefront. Now, back in the day, they used to have Battlefronts too, and I remember having a lot of fun on them. Though I don't really remember there being a campaign for it. It was just lots of like space battles and stuff. But I'm gonna base most of this on the new games. Now I haven't played the second one, even though there is a campaign for it. The gameplay looks nice and aesthetic and whatever. The first one of these, and I think we all played this, or at least most of us did. We did the online. Was fun, but very limited. There was no campaign that I can remember, and there was about 3 different maps, and that was it. And it was a full game, and it was 50, 60 quid. And then they did bring out DLC. It was another 15, 20 quid, and that was just for another map or two. It was an incredibly limited game, even though it was kind of fun. And I've enjoyed all the games that I've listed here. I have enjoyed to some extent, but that doesn't make them good as games or franchises. And personally, I would put this in bronze because of how limited it is, even though it can be enjoyable. But I just don't think it has longevity. And that happened when we played it. We played it for like a few weeks. It was kind of fun, and then we stopped and went back to GTA or something else that was better.
Yeah, I think the gameplay on Star Wars Battlefront is really, really, really solid. Like the gameplay is very well done, but it seems like they put like all their focus on gameplay and kind of neglect everything else.
Yeah.
In a sense. And I've played Battlefront 1, and as you said, limited map. Great gameplay, enjoyed it, but limited maps, didn't have the longevity. And I just played Battlefront 2. The game's been out for how long? Quite a bit. And I mean, at one point, the campaign glitched so badly, it sent me so far back on a mission that I just went, forget this, I'm not playing the game anymore. I got, for a game to have like issues like that still.
Yeah.
Not good.
You know what? If you'd said that you were going to bring the earlier 2000s one into this as well, I'd have fought you tooth and nail to bring it up.
Yeah, I remember having a lot of nostalgia there, to be fair. But
that's the thing, because they were that good, I used to love playing them. And then I heard Battlefront was coming out, and I was in the first year of uni at the time, so I was waiting to get it, and my brother got it. And when I was watching it, I was like, "Are you playing the demo or something?" And he was like, "No, this is the full game." I was like, "Yeah," I was really disappointed. Like I was gonna get it, and it's just let me down a bit, really.
yeah, the original Battlefront 2 had quite a lot of maps, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And the first one didn't, but because I was so young, I just loved it. It was Star Wars, oh, amazing. But that doesn't cut it now. I'm a lot more grown up, well, sort of. But yeah, I think we've got to base it on, because they're so separated in time, that I'm really only basing it off of these.
And developer.
And developer, yeah, that was another thing I was thinking. I was pretty sure EA didn't do the old ones.
Right.
Yeah,
If I can jump in. Firstly, I want a bit mad with Power Lads, and I've accidentally put GTA in gold when we voted it platinum, so let's solve that problem.
Yeah, that would be a good thing to address.
And secondly, stick this franchise right in the bin.
Ooh.
This is because you can't talk about Battlefront without talking about the good ones. And these 2 games completely trounce all over the legacy of Battlefront and Battlefront 2. Battlefront 2, the original one, still has a thriving online community today on PC because people love this game so much. Battlefront 2, the EA one, has had to completely rework its system because it tried to do a GTA and force you to pay money to progress anywhere. What was it? 80 hours in order you had to play in order to get a chance at Darth Vader. I've vastly overestimated the amount of hours. I think it was only 24. But even then, this was a game not designed for players. This was a game designed to have people playing constantly if they could, or you're going to pay a little bit of your paycheck, or a kid's going to steal their parents' credit cards and buy packs so that they can get advantages over other players. And like you said, Battlefront 1 was an incomplete game that they sold for a complete price.
Mhm.
And Battlefront 2 was a complete game sold at still not worth it. Like Paddy said, the campaign is unimaginative, and alongside that, still broken. Oh wow, I'm someone who's part of the Empire who realizes the Empire was bad, and so I turned to join the rebels. Like every other Star Wars campaign, Battlefront 2's campaign was fantastic in that you sort of got to fight on both sides. But yeah, and again, the gameplay. It's not Star Wars. If you told me this was just a sci-fi shooter, I believe you. The only reason it's Star Wars is because they say it's Star Wars, and you can occasionally be a hero. It's a dice game which means that it's solid but unimaginative gameplay. Stick it in the bin.
Yeah, I suppose at the end of the day, all I really wanted was Battlefront remastered.
That would have been nice.
Basically, yeah.
I'd be happy to put this in the bin, but I would agree with Ritson. I'd put it bronze because I think the gameplay is well made, but not a lot else is well made.
Yeah, I think
So I put it in bronze.
when we did play it, it was fun, even though it was for a short time. But because it was good even though it was very limited, I think it'd be harsh to put it in the very bottom tier.
Yeah, but the reason why you only played it for a short amount of time is because you didn't spend £50 on microtransactions. If you'd done that, you'd have had a whale of a time.
Oh, I mean, I don't know if Battle Whale at the time counts, but maybe I would have enjoyed
About
it.
the dolphin of a time.
Yeah, I mean, I would have been broke too, but yeah.
You know, he may have actually had a sense of pride and accomplishment.
Mm.
Please tell me you get that reference, of course.
Oh, of course.
I'm referencing
Nope.
Reddit post about the inordinate amount of time it takes to unlock characters in this game. The new Star Wars Battlefront games are an absolute travesty, and it's horrible to say. But they're one of those that, along with GTA, kind of spell out exactly what's been wrong with modern gaming. Like, one of the really good things about this, though, is Star Wars Battlefront 2's microtransactions and loot box system has instigated legal reform, which is amazing, right? This game was so controversial that it has led certain states and countries to outlaw loot boxes in games. Before this game, loot boxes weren't even a big thing. And then Star Wars Battlefront came around and basically introduced gambling to a load of unsuspecting Darth Vader loving children. And well, in the end, despite being a terrible game, it's actually done a great deal of good for the gaming community by neutering loot boxes. So, although the game certainly belongs in the bin, we must thank it for its enduring impact on the health of gaming in this world.
Well,
So we've got 2 votes for bronze and 2 votes for bin here. What do you think, Mangan?
Sorry, just quickly, you say that the amount of help it's done. NBA literally has slot machines as its microtransactions, and yet somehow it's not in trouble for it.
Hey, at least
gambling.
they're illegal. At least they're illegal in certain countries.
Yeah.
Yep, I was thankful for that.
Right, Mangan?
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna agree with Paddy and Ritson.
Oh,
Come on.
I think like I said, I did play it with my brother, and whilst I was disappointed in the size of the game itself, I was very impressed with the gameplay that it offered.
All right.
What gameplay?
Well,
What mode?
no,
Well, no, genuinely, what mode did you play? Name the mode.
I can't remember. It's been a few years
Exactly.
ago. Like,
No, but he's not on about
Because it's
that. He's on
rubbish.
about the actual game.
Collins,
He's on about the actual game.
just because you're loud doesn't mean you're right.
Oh God. Moving on. Next, we decided.
Right, I would like to go next because speaking of controversial, I want to stay at the bottom of the barrel basically, and I want to go to the Alien franchise. Specifically, the Alien franchise that was produced by Gearbox. So, they released 2 games. Alien Infestation released on DS, and the well-known game, Alien Colonial Marines. Now, Alien Infestation actually got some decent reviews. It was something like an arcade game, really. They appreciated the originality for it to get in, and it was actually one of the last DF releases of the time. However, Infestation and Colonial Marines are near enough the same game. They tried to do it for console, but they, if anything, they did something very illegal. So basically, they, while they were creating the game, they had a specific number in the team, and Sega were paying them to be in this team. So say if they had 10 people, Sega were paying them for 10 people. Yet they took people who were working on the game out of it to focus on other things, such as something we'll cover later, Duke Nukem. And because of this, Sega sued them for like millions. It didn't go anywhere in the end, but Colonial Marines has to be one of the worst games to exist.
I'm just I'm looking at the reviews now. And right, all of them are like 5s, 4s, 3s. And then there's EGM, who just must be the people who made the game because they've given it a 9 out of 10. Every other review is awful, but apart from that one, which is a 9 out of 10.
Maybe they do their reviews backwards. If you get a 9, it's actually bad.
Actually, I have
yeah.
100.
Do you want me to tell you how bad this game is?
Go for it.
So in 2017, a moderator had discovered a typographical error within the game's code. And when he corrected it, the AI improved fastly within the game.
Oh.
They had to get a member of the public to improve their own game.
I can see where this is going to be placed in the tier list.
Of course,
But I think a lot of games that do improve are based on the public's opinion,
Yeah.
public views.
Oh,
Yeah, that's not shocking. There's a vast modding community for PC games that is them just trying to improve AI and improve performance from games. That's not anything new.
I think we need to be clear here, though. Aliens Colonial Marines, and I don't think any of you guys will disagree with me here, is by far the worst game in any of the franchises we're going to talk about today.
Oh,
It is
Ooh.
diabolically bad how that thing was ever released. It's not a poor game. It's a broken game. There's a big difference between poor and broken. Aliens Colonial Marines is broken, and it's terrible because there was a massive hype train behind that game.
yeah,
It caused so much anger and rightfully belongs at the top of most worst games of, I think, 2013? Maybe a bit earlier than that?
Yeah, it was 2013, yeah.
Yeah, it rightfully belongs at the top of the list of worst games of 2013. This is not something that can be fixed, like a minor fix. Completely broken game.
And the thing is, I love the Alien franchise so much. So the idea that Colonial Marines sort of let the side down in a sense, because that's not what we want to see in an Alien game. We don't want just some standard shooter. Isolation showed us what we want within an Alien game, like the idea of basic survival, and it was just became a generic shooter.
A generic shooter that did not work in the slightest.
Yeah.
And you said before that there's 2 other games that are basically the same or something?
Infestation, it is basically the same game, but they managed to make it work because it was on DS instead of console.
I see.
So all I'm hearing is there's a good game in this franchise.
Yes, it is let down so much by Alien Colonial Marines that I didn't even know there was another game until I actually researched it for Gearbox because it was so poor. Because
I love it. You have admitted here that you haven't chosen a franchise. You've chosen a game that you don't like, and you found the best way to connect it to make this tier list.
I mean, they were made by the same team, so it's a franchise. It's not the only 2 game franchise that I've chosen, which you will see later on.
Should we take a vote?
Oh, bin immediately.
Okay. From what I'm seeing and hearing, I'm more than happy to agree with that.
Yeah. Paddy?
I mean, I'm not the best person to vote on this, so I might withdraw my vote because I absolutely know nothing about this, so it'd be unfair. But
Neil?
I mean, it's an absolute disgrace of a game.
Exactly. So 3 votes for bin already.
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
I mean, it's better than Battlefront, so bronze.
Well, I mean, yeah,
we voted for bin, so we're putting it
Oh
in.
yeah, no, I'm sticking it in bin, but it's better than Battlefront.
At least Battlefront is functional, though. It might be morally empty and content empty, but it does work.
I can play it without shedding a tear. I can play Battlefront without shedding a tear, at least.
How?
it's when you remember the old Battlefronts, though, you probably would cry a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, in the bin.
Right, my turn. That's in the bin. I'm gonna bring in the biggest video game franchise of all time,
Oh, really?
Tetris, and it is.
I mean, you're not wrong. But
Yeah.
you are wrong.
It is the biggest selling video game franchise of all time.
Fair.
So you can take your GTA and stuff it.
Yeah.
Tetris is here.
You'll never have that. Part of what I like about Tetris is its simplistic gameplay, but also the story of Tetris, of it being made by a Soviet game maker who managed to sell the rights to the game before the Soviets managed to take them from him, so he's able to make money from it. But yeah, at this point in time, by 2011, Tetris has managed to sell 202 million copies.
Jeez.
132 million of them being on mobile.
I was going to say, is a lot of this from free apps at all?
No, these are paid mobile games.
Jesus.
Yeah. The game is available on 65 platforms.
It's incredible.
Could you even name 65 consoles?
I could try, but I don't really want to waste the time with the listeners.
You sure?
I don't think the listeners want to hear about Tetris, to be honest. I mean, it's a game where you put blocks in a position.
It is certainly a game.
Fair enough.
What's the campaign like?
The campaign. Now I'm glad you said. Did you know there's a Tetris game with an actual story mode?
Oh my god!
Sarcasm fails me again.
Why have they wasted their time?
Boy, the incredible story mode about one Tetris piece going to save his planet.
Oh man, I don't honestly. What will they come up with next?
Well, there's a Tetris Battle Royale.
Oh
no way!
I'm not joking.
You should be.
Bloody hell! What are we gonna get? Tetris racing game
I'm
next?
putting that in bronze just for its cop out. If you're doing a battle royal for it,
No,
Jesus.
see, that's the thing. The Tetris Battle Royale is surprisingly good because it's basically a case of it's not a case of like, oh, you meet someone in Tetris and you have a Tetris off. It's 100 people playing Tetris at the same time, and when you reach the same score as and when you all reach a certain score, the lowest score gets eliminated, and it keeps going.
Ah.
That's actually quite fun. So yeah, the Tetris story mode for Tetris World has you playing as Mino Tetranaut, where you travel 6 different worlds, playing the Tetris version of each world.
That sounds fascinating. By that I mean it sounds not fascinating. But I'm interested to know where you put it, Collins. Though.
Well, see, the thing is, I actually haven't put it platinum. I just sort of established that now. To me, this is silver. For the history around it, everyone's played it, everyone's heard of it. The gameplay is easy and simple that anyone can quickly give it a go. But it's not evolved unless you're going to evolve. Unless you're talking about the fact that it's got a story mode now, or it's got a it's got a battle royale mode now. It's not actually evolved. It's the same game since it was first released in 1984.
But in fairness, how do you evolve something like that?
Yeah,
Like,
to be fair, I just
Yeah,
found
yeah.
out the campaign.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
all
But
you've got
that.
you've got to judge it for what it is.
yeah, and for what it is, it's the
Yeah.
quintessential puzzle game.
It's something you play on the toilet.
It's a simple but fun game, but I don't know how we categorize that in our tier list though.
Yeah.
And that's why I went silver because
Yeah.
Look, it can't compare to GTA in the platinum tier, but 302 million people have played this game.
But I personally put it in the bin because I mean, come on. As Mangan said, it's something you play. You know.
Yeah, but is it a bad game?
Yeah,
No,
Ritson, the point is, you don't play Alien Colonial Marines, and that's in the bin.
Yes, that's true. That's true.
You don't even play that on the loo. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, I know, but I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's very history and all that, but overall, it's still going today. So, and really, is anyone now? Do you think, oh, what could I play now? I could play GTA, maybe FIFA or COD. Oh no,
Yeah,
I'll play Tetris.
You can't put it in the same sort of category as them. It's a game you play on the loo.
Exactly.
And I will point out
that doesn't make it a bad game.
I'm not saying
Ritson, enough people are playing Tetris to do 100 people battle royales.
But what?
Enough people are playing Tetris in order to do 100-person battle royales in Tetris.
I mean,
can I chime in?
That's a lot of people going the loo then.
Neil, yeah, of course.
Yeah. I think you guys have missed something out because I've realized here that there's a world of Tetris that you guys don't know about. I love Tetris. I visited the statue of Tetraminos in Shanghai on my holiday this year.
That is mental.
That's how much research we do for this. We travel the length of the world.
Yeah, that's from the company
Yeah,
accounts.
that was this week. That was this week he did that.
What you guys have not discovered here is the competitive Tetris scene. Because no one's mentioned it up to now.
Well, there is. I think I've read something about this.
Esports Tetris. Yeah.
I am entirely happy to admit that I have watched the Tetris World Championships.
I wouldn't be happy to admit that, to be fair.
I don't think I could. That's not against you, but
I genuinely, and this is for everyone in this podcast and everyone listening at home, if you want to experience something like Tetris that sounds completely mundane to you, turned up to 100, go on YouTube right now, type in the words "Boom Tetris for Jeff," and you will enter an entirely new world of Tetris that will blow your mind.
How fast does it go, Neil?
Sorry?
How fast, do they go on Tetris? Is it going super speed?
Fast. That's what I'm recommending. Seriously, go watch it. It's so fast-paced and exciting, and also really surprisingly memey. It's quite fascinating to watch. Honestly, if you think Tetris is boring, go watch the Tetris World Championships. It's all on YouTube. It will take you 5 to 10 minutes, and trust me, it will change your opinion completely. It's fascinating.
I hate you, Neil. I really want to watch that now. I actually do.
Watch it later. Trust me, you will not regret it. Just type in "Boom Tetris for Jeff," and you will understand exactly what I'm talking about.
So yeah, guys, are we looking at silver here?
That's what I was going to put it.
I would agree, silver.
I think it can't be any higher than that, but it can't be any lower.
Because there's not a lot of depth to the game, but it's a fun game, so you've got to meet in the middle.
Yeah.
I would say gold, personally.
Oh.
Yeah, it's a design classic, right? It's an absolute classic of design. It's a perfect minimalist game. Not every game has to be maximalist.
All right, and Ritson voted for the bin. Silver wins out.
Silver's just got it, yeah.
That's fair. I think that's fair.
That's fair.
All right, we loop
Going
back round to Neil again.
Okay. Ooh, where should we go from here? Because Tetris is very in the middle. How about... let's talk about something net positive. How about the Mass Effect franchise?
No.
The brilliant BioWare space opera. Or at least it was brilliant. I'm not sure entirely whether people were thinking that right now.
I was going to say.
Certainly the home of some absolutely stellar games.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It was great, and I think Andromeda's left a really sour taste in the mouth.
The original 3 is my favourite trilogy of games of all time. Andromeda, I actually enjoy. It's nowhere near as good as the original 3, which is saying something considering how the third one ended. But it's still an all right space explorer game. I mean, if you take it for what it is, and I can happily go into the all terrain vehicle, drive around the planet, kill some aliens, and have fun. The story might not be there in Andromeda, but I mean, if comparing the story to the original 3, nothing's going to be there. I think the big problem with Andromeda's story was the characters all pretend to know you perfectly right from the off. It wanted the atmosphere of Mass Effect 2 and 3 before it ever had the atmosphere of Mass Effect 1.
I don't think we should focus too strongly on Andromeda, though. I think, we all know it's mediocre.
Oh, yeah, but we need to address it, otherwise we have an elephant in the room situation.
True, but come on, let's focus on those first 3.
Let's talk about the good games.
I mean, I loved the first one. I was introduced to it rather late. In fact, it was you, Neil, that really introduced me to the series itself, and I had a blast playing it.
Plus, from the first mission on Eden Prime, when you're just instantly thrown into this world after creating your character of being Commander Shepard. Shepard going to a human colony because humanity is advanced into the stars. Seeing Nihilus be shot in the head by the betrayal of a Spectre agent, and just traveling the entirety of the galaxy as you meet people who form your crew, who you form bonds with, you go for a romance with, if that's your thing. It helps build a world that's not there in any other game I've really played.
The world is the thing, isn't it? Like the world, the relationships. That's Mass Effect in a nutshell. It's such an amazing world to inhabit while you're playing the game. It feels real, doesn't it? It feels like space brought to life.
Yep. I will say, the combat in Mass Effect 1 has aged terribly.
They never quite fixed the crab walk. If you've seen
they did not.
Oh wow, yeah.
Oh.
To be fair, he must have done some really good yoga to get to those sort of walks. But here's a question for you, Neil. Obviously, Andromeda was a massive failure in terms of what the other 3 brought. Do you think BioWare would release another one?
Well, the DLC got cancelled.
I think we can all kind of admit it'd be a dreadful shame if that never happened, right? But on the other hand, you gotta think BioWare's recent track record has been pretty poor, hasn't it? Between Mass Effect Andromeda and Anthem.
The big disappointment was the excuse for Andromeda was that all the developers who started on Andromeda got told, okay, no, we need you to work on Anthem. And then the big story came out that Anthem basically got started like 6 months before it was due to go out, despite the fact that it had been announced 2 years ago.
I think BioWare had like issues ever since 3, right, with the ending, and so many development problems there, and then it just carried on, and now very hard to have faith in them as a developer. I know, I believe they've been stripped down quite a lot by EA since then, so it'd be interesting to see what the future holds for BioWare.
That's the life cycle of a game studio these days. Release a beloved game series, get bought by EA halfway through it, fail to end the beloved game series, fail to move on to the next project, get stripped down for parts by EA, and you're dead. That's the life cycle of what EA does to gaming.
Really is. I hope really Mass Effect comes back, and it comes back in a form that's, not a buggy mess, and kind of really gets to grips with the franchise. Because I just absolutely love space opera. Thankfully, we do live in an era where, if you are that kind of nerd, there's enough Star Trek on TV to keep you happy. But still, it's I do hope Mass Effect can come back in a big way, because it deserves. Because at its peak, it's an amazing franchise.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, if it did come back, nothing. If it could be a game as bad as Alien Colonial Marines. Nothing would take away from the experiences of Mass Effect 2 with Garrus, Miranda, Grunt, Tally, all of the crew in that. Just all the stories that you have in Mass Effect 2. Favorite game of all time.
Quick mention. I also really, really love the soundtrack in the Mass Effect.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And I've actually got the CD sitting on my little collection of games over there.
Plus, I know it's not important in terms of the whole gameplay itself, but voice acting from Keith David and Seth Green and stuff, and I'm just sent,
Anyone else want to add to the conversation?
There's nothing I can add that I haven't played it. It would be offensive for me to rate this one compared to how much you guys have played the game. So I'll let you take it away.
I mean, I'd like to hear what Neil category you'd put it in.
I would put it in gold, to be honest, because that first trilogy, I mean, apart from the last 1% of those 3 games, it's utterly incredible.
I'd be inclined to agree with you.
To me,
it hurts, but
to me, even with the elephant in the room, that's Andromeda. It's platinum. It's better than GTA for me.
It's amazing, but I don't know. Does it have the same impact as GTA?
It has more than. All right. So in terms of maybe a gameplay scale on the actual game industry, GTA's had a better impact. But Mass Effect's had an impact as well. Space games became much more popular as a result of Mass Effect. Admittedly, you could also attribute Halo to that. But RPGs as a whole as well became so much more mainstream thanks to Mass Effect.
It's a good argument, to be honest. That's a good argument. I don't think it can reach platinum for me, but I mean, it's certainly arguable. It is incredible.
Yes.
Are we settling for gold then?
Yeah, I would agree.
Oh, it pains me, but okay.
No, gold's not offensive to me.
Yeah, I know. It's just.
Yeah. Oh, it's me next, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. Well, I didn't say much in this one, so let's go for Crash Bandicoot.
Oh, he's getting talked to there.
You know what? I think it's almost everyone's first game, and by almost everyone, I mean no one. But I think it was my first game. It is a lot of people's first game. And this series, this franchise is iconic. I mean, who would disagree that Crash isn't iconic?
I mean, he certainly is. I mean, I'll take a couple of marks off you because Crash Bandicoot wasn't my first game, and you've put.
No, I said a lot. I said a lot of people.
No, it is certainly iconic. It started out strong. It's remastered, has given most young adults the way to feel like a kid again. Really.
Yeah, but what I would say, the remastered Crash racing game is terrible, which is maybe why I probably haven't put this in platinum. I've put it in gold though because I just think it just because of how iconic this game, the game is. Like some of the early Crashes, Crash Bandicoot, and the racing games, just some of the most fun you can have on games, and some of the best memories you'll have on video games.
I agree with that, and I also would just like to point out the fact that I paid 35 quid for that racing game that they brought out, and I played it once with you guys, maybe twice. No, I think it was just once, and then we never played it again because it was that bad. So
it game should have been better. There was just not a lot to it.
Yeah, that game took money from me and gave me literally nothing in return. However,
Well, think
can't-
about how much the original ones gave to your childhood.
I was just about to get on. Can't deny about how iconic the original games were when we were all growing up. The nostalgia that's there, how much just generally fun they were. So yeah, it's not platinum. Definitely not platinum for me. I would lean maybe towards gold, maybe, but I am
Do you know how iconic Crash Bandicoot is?
Go on.
Naughty Dog's Uncharted 4 has you playing level of Crash Bandicoot.
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Fair
That's
enough.
all
Actually,
that.
fair enough. Naughty Dog is also the developer of Crash Bandicoot, but it shows how great a game franchise it is. That Uncharted 4, one of the best-selling games of all time, literally just has you play the first level as a part of its story.
Actually, and now you've said that, I think Last of Us has an Easter egg towards Crash Bandicoot as well. And I think in a couple of rooms you find a couple of like board games of Crash Bandicoot as well.
I mean, how often do you see a game within a game? That's how incredible this is.
Yeah.
I mean, mini games are quite common.
No, but I mean a proper game within a proper game.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe you play Tetris within GTA, but you know.
I think there is, Dreams is now a thing.
Dreams.
Literally a game creator.
Yeah.
On the PS4.
PS4's attempt at Little Big Planet version 2.
Oh my god, I forgot completely about Little Big Planet. Jeez, it's a long time since I remember that.
Yeah.
Coming to the PS5, I believe, is he not?
Crash Bandicoot has had a sequel announced, hasn't it? It's About Time is what it's called.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, which is a great pun, but yeah. It shows kind of how popular the reboot was as well, wasn't it? Obviously, the original trilogy got remastered for the PS4. Right, that it sold well enough there that they've now bringing it back for a sequel.
Yeah, I regret not getting that and getting the racing game instead. I thought would it be a multiplayer, it might be a bit more fun, but no, they did a very lax job with that. But I don't want that to tarnish my view of the series because there's so many memories. So many memories.
My biggest memory of Crash Bandicoot is Crash Bash. You know, the party mini game compilation.
Is that the one where you were on it was one of the mini games, you were on pogo sticks and you had to hop across onto different colors?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the best one. I was thinking that is the best one.
Yeah, Crash Bash, one of my biggest memories for the PS1.
Unreal. PS1 and
that makes me feel
it was
awful.
that good on PS1. I mean, that's incredible. I've got to put it gold though.
I'd agree. Yeah, I think
I think once you get into the Xbox 360 and PS3 area, the games become quite bad.
Yeah.
So it's definitely one of those that didn't carry on with the times, and we'll see this with another one with another franchise that is on this list.
Yeah, that's why I couldn't put it platinum. But I mean, gaming is all about the memories, really, and there's no greater game that gives you memories than like this one.
Yeah.
So yeah, gold for me.
All right, gold.
Colin, do you agree with gold?
Yeah, I'm gonna go gold.
So Richard, what you got?
Well, oh yeah, of course. It's me. I'm going. Well, we just moved on to me, but it was already settled. To be fair, Neil, what would you have put it as, anyways?
I probably would have gone gold too.
There we go. Anyways, my
that's the first time we've been like completely unanimous.
It's only taken us 4 weeks.
Next game I'm putting forward is Battlefield.
Okay.
Now we've all played this game. I think so. Mangan, have you played this?
I think I've played it once or twice.
Okay. Well, I remember the rest of us have been in squads, sometimes with other friends, and it has been a lot of fun. Especially Bad Company 2 stands out Port Valdez, we were discussing before the podcast. Iconic map for me. It was so much fun. There was a certain house you'd camp in, and you'd have one of your team as a medic, and they just wouldn't shoot anyone. They just keep reviving everyone else, and it was so silly, but so much fun.
I mean, you'd almost say that's a flaw in the game, but it absolutely wasn't. Some flaws in games are actually they're positives in a way.
It's not a bug; it's a feature.
I loved running around. I loved running around with the defibrillators and just reviving everyone.
Yeah. I don't think I ever went anything other than medic.
It was.
It's like if you were engineered, it was always your job to shoot the tank. Like you'd always have to go out there in front of the tank, risk your life.
So much pressure on
Well,
you.
all the rest of them are in cozy in the house. I'm like, no, I don't want to go shoot the tank. I'm gonna stay here with me nice cozy, cozy defibrillators.
Yeah. I can't remember if it was Bad Company 2 or one of the ones afterwards, but there was a little alleyway type where you'd be in the door and there'd be another doorway across the street, and everyone would get stuck like in a massive battle at times. There'd be tanks going around on these little buildings. You know, you'd have these snipers and people with RPGs trying to take the tanks out and everything. However, campaigns, they're all right, but my problem is, firstly, I don't think they're very long, from what I can remember. Secondly, when you compare it to like COD, for example, and you think Modern Warfare, you remember like characters like Price and Soap, and then in Black Ops you got like Mason. You know, what do the numbers mean, Mason?
Whoa! You're speaking my pitch for me, yeah?
Sorry. Well, I'm not saying anything, but when you think Battlefield campaign, I don't remember a single character's name or anything. And I really don't remember it standing out at the time. So it's definitely not a platinum game for that, because I think if you're going to be platinum, either you're going to be a full-on campaign game with no online and it's going to be an unbelievable game, or it's just a full online game and it's just amazing online. Also, Battlefield's more recent, I don't think have been that good. And I also feel like if you're not in a squad with your friends, like a good squad of like 4 or 5 years, then it's just nowhere near as fun to play. It's because the map's so big, which is a good thing, to be fair, in some respects, but it's not something that I could load up and just play on my own. I'd need like, or even with 2 people, you need like 3, 4, 5 people. Whereas other games like FIFA, for example, you know, you get on by yourself, or the campaign games you go on. But Battlefield's never been something I thought, oh, I'm bored, everyone else is busy, I'll play that. Personally, I'd put this in silver. It's an enjoyable game overall, a good franchise. However, even though stuff like Bad Company 2 really do stand out as like a platinum type game with how much fun and just how good those maps were, it's only one game in a set of many, and some of them have been quite disappointing. And it's because of that I've not got every single Battlefield like I have with other franchise games. So I put it as silver.
I do agree. It's one of those games where you have to like be in like a squad of 4, full party of 4 to really get the best of the experience.
Definitely.
Like the funnest thing on Battlefield is hopping in with like 3 other people and then taking it really seriously. Like you do this, like because it's very much like a realistic war game. Like you've got all the different elements like the tanks and things like that. It's not like COD where it's just a shooter basically. So, but I think it's kind of meant to be like that though. It's kind of meant to be for you to play with like a group of friends. So,
well, maybe, but at the end of the day, I still think you should be able to load up a game and play it on yourself and have, you know, maybe not as good as that, because I think most people will agree that when you go online with a game with friends, it typically is better. But I still think you should be able to go on Battlefield, play on your own, and still have, you know, a really fun, you know, session. But I just don't feel like you can do that.
Another flaw in the thing with Battlefield is that when they release updates, they don't release frequent and small updates. They release little and massive updates that'll take like 2-3 hours, which I don't like that system of updating anyway. But
yeah, one thing I do love about some of the games, I can't remember which one this is, but when you could knock down the skyscraper buildings was brilliant in one of those maps. I can't remember which one it was. I also love the fact that yeah, I think it would have been, but I also love the fact that in these games you can destroy buildings and houses and stuff, whereas in other online, shooters and stuff, structures are invincible. But in Battlefield, you can take them apart and change the map a little bit as the game goes on, which is a really good feature, to be fair.
Yeah, let's put this somewhere. Let's put this somewhere.
Yeah, I think we can all say this is either silver or bronze. It's bronze to me because I don't really like first-person shooters, and it's the Pez to COD's FIFA.
I think that's a bit harsh. I get what you're saying, but
I think it's different from COD though. I don't think it is that kind of Pez to FIFA thing. I think it is different, and
it takes itself more seriously than COD, I think.
Yeah, and
it takes itself more seriously than FIFA.
I also think that when I've had the most fun times on Battlefield, just obviously COD's got zombies and whatever, but if you're talking just the normal game modes, I think the most fun times I've had on Battlefield are higher than the ones on COD. Maybe not by much, but Bad Company 2 and maybe Battlefield 3, I think I've had better times on overall than on COD, when obviously in a group, but that's why I'd only put it in silver.
Yeah, I'm going to say silver as well. I'd definitely put it above Star Wars Battlefront, and that's a lot of fun on basing it on.
God, yeah.
So I'm going to say silver.
Yeah, I'd say silver as well.
Neil?
I would put it bronze. Because, to be honest, it's actually been quite a long time now since the Battlefield franchise released a game that was remotely interesting. Think about it. No one here is clamoring for, remember that classic Battlefield Hardline? Or remember that amazing game, Battlefield 1? Been a long time since people Battlefield games as, anything more than a consumer product that has lots of microtransactions in it. IMO.
Yeah, I did play Battlefield, the one where it was a bit of a throwback back to, I think it was World War One, I think, time period, and it was fun, but it wasn't as good as Bad Company 2.
Was that the one with the really super serious start to its campaign where you died and it told you the name of who you were, and then it was someone else and you died and it told you the name of who you were?
Yeah. Oh my god, I completely forgot about that.
It was meant to be really somber, but yet here we are laughing about it. That and press F to pay respects on why video game franchises like COD and Battlefield shouldn't really go for emotional.
Yeah.
Well, let's put it silver then. Let's put it silver.
Yeah, Mangan, do you want to go in with the next one?
Yeah, I want this to be quick. I want this to be 5 minutes because I doubt many people would have played this. I'm going with Raving Rabbits.
Okay, put that in the bin and let's move on.
I'm going to stick at bronze because
I'll give you bronze because it's got a good Mario spin-off game with it.
And when it started, it was actually considered a major success. People were comparing it to some of the big mascots of the generation, so your Sonics and your Marios. But the problem with it was, as it started to develop, it started to overshadow the very franchise that it was meant to be helping, the Rayman series. So after that, Rayman started to die down a bit, and a decline in ratings has been linked to the Raving Rabbits, and they have brought out some stinkers since. Like, good went to average, average went to bad, and it wasn't really. It was tricky. Like, obviously, if you're gonna have success, you're gonna continue, but you don't know when to stop. And like you said, Collins, Mario vs. the Rabbits was a major success. Like, a lot of people were kind of surprised with it in a sense.
Mm-hmm.
But when you've got like I'll give you some of them now: Rabbids Land, Rabbids Rumble, Rabbids Big Bang, Raving Rabbits Alive and Kicking, Raving Rabbits Travel in Time, in the space of 12 years, they have released 18 titles.
Hang on. In defense, Rayman Rabbids, the time travel one, that's actually a fun game. They have a light gun mini game where it's real world footage, but the rabbits show up. So you got to shoot the rabbits, and that's actually really good fun.
Maybe
No.
so, but at the same time, it did take a lot away from Rayman, as I said.
That we're not rating Rayman, we're rating Raving Rabbits.
No, but Raven Rabbits was the thing that was meant to hold up Rayman. That's why I'm. Plus, as time went on, as I said, it went down a bit in quality.
Yeah. Let's not kid ourselves. There's surprising highlights in a sea of mediocrity in the Raving Rabbits series, but you can't use the fact that it also caused a decline in Rayman as well, because Rayman wasn't that successful a game series anyway. It was popular, but in the sense of like it was an underground popularity. The Raving Rabbids are the things that most people know about the Rayman franchise, and you can't then use that as a criticism that they're known.
I get what you're saying, but I'm politely disagreeing in the sense of what it stands for, if that makes sense.
I
What
think
it
I actually
stands for, you
remember.
put Battlefront in bronze
Okay.
instead of bin, no
There
matter
we
what
go.
that stands for.
Ritson, do you have anything to say about it?
I think I actually remember playing one of these on the Wii ages ago. That's why I didn't remember it until just
They were
now.
really successful on the Wii, to be fair.
All right, that means it's been then.
Yeah.
It's successful on the Wii. Nah, to be fair, Mario Kart was successful on the Wii.
Yeah.
Oh, Mario Kart one game.
Should have had that on there.
Yeah.
But to be fair, it's bottom 2 tiers for me.
I think bronze personally.
Higher.
I'd
Uh,
go bronze. I don't think this has been.
Should we take a vote on this? Because I don't think this is
Let's
something
put
to
it
be
bronze.
I'm saying bronze.
watch.
I haven't really played it, but it didn't seem fun from what I saw, from what I researched. But we'll go bronze.
All right. I'm gonna go in next then, and I'm gonna talk about a absolute classic of rubbish that somehow managed to be successful in the 90s and then tried to bring itself back in 2011. I'm going Duke Nukem. Oh dear.
Feels laugh. Oh wow.
Duke Nukem had an original trio of games from 91 to 96. They were similar in a sense to Doom in terms of of shooters. The first one was 2D and eventually would make the jump to 3D. But I mean, it was just in the typical macho bravado of the 90s with Duke Nukem of how he was the man's man, and that meant he smoked a cigar, he had a big gun, and he had sex with lots of women.
Good on him.
Yeah,
My type of guy.
Now,
By that I mean he's the polar opposite to me.
Now, the fourth game, which came out in 2011, was originally meant to come out in 1998.
Wow.
It would be delayed for 13 years.
It's the avatar of their games.
Some guy, when Duke Nukem Forever came out, some guy still had his original pre-order for 1998. And fair play to the store, they honoured it.
Wow.
That guy still got ripped off for his money.
Why was the game not good?
Oh, it was awful.
Duke Nukem
2011?
Forever is an absolutely awful game.
It is sex glorified violent just for the sake of being violent.
What's wrong with that?
It's
What's wrong
what
with it is
people
the
were,
fact.
like it's what people were expecting. That's the problem with it.
It's not even that. It's yeah. Go on, Neil. You haven't said it.
Is it fair to say it's a game that's stuck in the wrong era? Like,
Yeah.
because don't get me wrong, it's mechanically terrible as well. But my word, does that game hold up? Imagine playing Duke Nukem Forever in 2020. Like, I assume that would be about as shocking as, I don't know, trying to watch Little Britain or something in 2020. It does not hold up well at all.
The objectification of women in the game is nothing short than disgusting.
It's literally the game starts with you being able to pick up a poo. Sorry, I almost swore. And being able
save.
to throw it around and play. Literally, you can play with poo.
Are you an Ewok?
That's the level
sound like
of game. This
Sound
is.
like an Ewok. Bloody hell.
Wait. Can you explain this a bit further? I don't have much context here.
That's all the context you need.
You can walk right. Literally, the start of the game has you in a changing room, or it might not. I can't honestly fully remember. But you can walk into the bathroom, and in one of the toilets is a poo that hasn't been flushed. You hover, you look at the poo. It says press E to pick up. So you can pick up the poo. You can then throw the poo, and it makes little poo marks on everything you throw.
Did Paddy make this game? Bloody hell.
Exactly.
Oh, yeah. No, to be fair.
This
Like, is it bad that I'm thinking this sounds quite fun?
This is
Yeah.
how the game that people had waited 12 to 13 years for began.
Is it fair to imagine that also this was accompanied by some extremely cheesy, but in a really bad way, voice acting?
Oh, it's just, everything about this game is you can tell it was meant to come out in '98. I mean, the plot of the game is an action hero who must come out of retirement and save the world from aliens who begin kidnapping women.
That wouldn't surprise me if it was like a Sylvester Stallone film. I'm not gonna lie.
So, should we even bother voting, or is this going in the bin? Like,
Well, I was
Lads.
going to say bin, but because of the poo thing, I'm putting it platinum.
Lads, this is the Catwoman of video game franchises. And on that note, it's been.
It's bin, fine.
But how much consideration are we giving here to the first 3 games in the 90s?
The first 3 games are outdated and not that good. Like,
That-
fair enough, you can say, like, for what they were in the 90s, acceptable. But they're not the greatest games.
No, I can't quite imagine they are. I mean, well, look at how well Doom is doing.
Yeah.
Bin.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Really,
Get in the bin, mate.
we're not listening to Paddy about platinum.
I was joking.
All right. One last thing. Gearbox made this. Your old pals, Mangan.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say this is literally what they drag people out of Colonial Marines to help with.
Wait. So if Gearbox made both those
Yeah,
boxes,
both games.
Yeah, both of the big games.
this
so
is not
far,
much good
Gearbox
promotion
made.
for Gearbox today. But
Right,
I would say Gearbox, if you want to sponsor the podcast,
and maybe we'll bump it up a few tiers.
yeah, exactly. You know, we have a lot of hold in the industry. You know.
All right, Neil, you want to go back to you?
Okay. How about for the next one, we play with life with The Sims. The Sims is, I mean, it's an absolutely iconic franchise as well. A little younger than some of the others we're going to mention here, but no less as revolutionary. Really, like, setting up that genre of the lifestyle simulator that has ultimately became something that almost anyone can play.
Yeah, I'd agree. I've played Sims on the DS, on the Wii, on the PlayStation, which shows how much of an audience that this franchise has. And I haven't like disliked a single one. I've enjoyed them, not like over the moon with them, but they have killed loads of time.
my favourite thing about this game is the fact that you can put someone in a pool, then take the ladder out of the pool so they drown.
You absolute psychopath.
That's my favourite thing, anyway.
Yeah,
That's about you.
Sims is it is one of the most iconic video game franchises of all time. Everyone knows what it is. it's not for everyone. For me, I've never been able to get into playing it. I don't like the whole, set everything off and everything. It's also kind of a genre of its own, isn't it? Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, I can't think of many games too much like it.
Well, there's Desperate Housewives, the video game.
This game,
Oh, yeah.
my all-time favorite. The Desperate Housewives, the video game. We're really running out of ideas, lads. We're gonna have The Only Way Is Essex, the game. That'd be fun.
There's a Love Island mobile game.
Yeah, no, I've got it.
God.
No, I haven't. I actually haven't. Please don't hold that against me.
Isn't that one of those games where you create a character and you're in like stories and you make your choices?
Oh no, I've seen Unfair to Them, and I really don't want to get into them because some of them are really horrible.
Isn't it? You know those like Japanese style dating simulators?
Yeah.
I believe it's something like that, but less Japanese.
Yeah, that's sort of what I mean about it. It's a visual novel game, but rubbish.
Anyway, Sims. Yeah, remember like how popular the original one was? Like that is a standout PC title of all time. And then, the other games bringing it. My particular favorite was The Sims 2. I really liked the console version of it because it actually didn't have that point and click control.
Was Sims 2 the one in the hotel?
The Sims 2 is in whatever house you made it, mate.
I'm thinking of a different Sims, which shows how much there are, really.
If I was saying all of them, you can start in a hotel or build a house, man.
No, as in, it was based in and around a hotel, like you owned the hotel rather than... It was something a bit different, yeah.
That might be one of the spin-offs, like...
Yeah, that'll probably be a spin-off.
Or something like that. What's it called? The Sims... The one that's set in the city, I can't remember it.
The Sims City.
It?
Well, at the end of the day, we can go on and on about the positive of The Sims. There is one elephant in the room about it, and that's the sheer amount of DLC.
Yeah. God, the numerous expansion packs present ever since the first Sims.
All being charged about the same price as the game itself. Isn't it? Sims 3. I'm sure it's in the thousands of pounds if you want all the DLC.
There's not many games that can beat that, to be honest. Maybe something like Train Simulator.
Yeah.
But there's many games that can beat that in amount of total DLC.
But Train Simulator also has the advantage of the fact that it now just updates every year, doesn't it? So all its DLC is kind of like for every year of the game.
Yeah, true enough.
But anyway, where will we put this?
To me, it's similar to Tetris in the fact that I have to respect it, even if I don't really rate it myself.
I mean,
it's
silver. Neil, it is your game. Where were you thinking about it?
I would probably put it in silver. I think, for its originality and all that kind of stuff, it really deserves a lot of credit for its mainstream appeal too. However, it's fair to say that the most recent games in the franchise haven't really done anything very spectacular.
Yeah.
I'd probably put it as a silver.
Yeah, I'd still agree. I think it is an iconic game, and I would happily put in silver myself.
Happy to go along with that,
Yeah, the game's not for me, but I can totally respect that why people like it, and I'll have to go silver.
In fact, I'm putting it in gold for the fact you can actually drown people in a swimming pool. I mean, that is quite funny.
Anyway,
that is a fair point in my opinion.
So I put it in gold.
But anyway, what game is for you, Paddy?
Well, not Need for Speed, man.
Oh,
God.
Seamless transition here on the podcast.
Yeah, we love it.
Yeah, so I've actually put Need for Speed in the bin, mate, because that's where it belongs. Because if your first games are way better than your games today, you can't belong anywhere but the bin. Need for Speed Carbon, Need for Speed Most Wanted, Need for Speed Underground, fantastic games, but they're all like in the sort of earlier stages of the franchise. These days, my, it's not looking good for Need for Speed.
Not looking good for racing. What has happened to racing games?
GTA took over.
I feel like
With its incredible driving.
racing games have tried to become too realistic and not fun enough. Like there's been too much focus on realism and not enough focus on fun.
I don't think
You've got to
racing
balance.
games as well haven't figured out what kind of features they're giving other than racing. Like, do you remember Most Wanted, Driver San Francisco? That's the point I'm going to. I know that we're doing Need for Speed as the franchise talking about, but just quickly want to talk about Driver San Francisco. How fun is it story mode where you're in a coma, but you can still possess people to take control of them while they're driving cars as you solve a crime. That story is really fun, and it's a racing game. Need for Speed, Most Wanted, I believe, had one where you where the villain stole your car, stole your girl, and put you in a coma through an accident. And the entire story is you working your way up the rankings so you can challenge him again and earn your rightful place back as king
I
of
remember
racers.
that, and you
It's a fun, engaging story.
I remember that, and you took out bosses along the way as well.
Yeah, that's a fun, engaging story. There are no stories to racing games anymore.
To be fair, though, Driver San Francisco it was a very unique game, wasn't it? Really?
Yeah,
yeah. But what an absolute bit of genius that mechanic was, to be honest. Absolute genius. But I kind of understand, like, obviously you can't apply that to every racing game. But the Need for Speed franchise, in my opinion, it's just kind of lost its soul, hasn't it? It's been a bit EA'd, if that makes sense.
That happens to a lot of games.
That's such a face.
Like, you've got to remember, like, Need for Speed Underground and Underground 2, absolutely revolutionary games that inspired almost every other racing game of that era, like, focused on customization, that kind of stuff. Imagine that kind of game in the modern era, and it exists, where, I don't know, every car part is locked behind a grind. That's the kind of universe that the modern Need for Speed really exists in. It just seems pretty directionless and soulless. I do appreciate they tried to be creative with, remember Need for Speed The Run? But it was a bit terrible. That was kind of the problem.
Was that the one with live action cutscenes?
They were live action, but it was set. What was it? I mean, it was set like
it was set in it was set as one massive race, wasn't it?
Yeah, very interesting.
I actually remember. But even that was, coming up to 5 years ago now, aren't we?
Just quickly, was Need for Speed created into a movie, or am I thinking of another one?
It was, yeah.
It was.
With Aaron Paul.
Yeah, and that's all we're going to say about that.
Aaron Paul.
It's been downhill since.
And it wasn't the best movie, yeah.
There you go. Right. Need for Speed The Run was 2011, Neil.
Whoa, that's mental. I actually can't believe that. Wow. That actually just shows, doesn't it? Like, since then, nothing revolutionary at all has happened in the Need for Speed area. There were some games I liked. Like, how long ago was a game like Hot Pursuit? Hot Pursuit was alright.
I think that was also one that was Xbox 360, not Xbox One or PS4.
My word, if they had a single, like, memorable game in the last console generation, that is so
hang on. Need for Speed Hot Pursuit was 2010.
Jesus.
Well, Need for Speed.
That's crazy.
Well, the thing is, Need for Speed best ever game, in my opinion, and best ever game by far is Need for Speed Carbon. That came out in 2006. When your best game came out 14 years ago, that's not looking good for you.
See, that's sort of the thing, though. It's like there are so many great games, and I get the fact that what it's become means that you want to rate it lowly. But I know I look at some of these on the list. I mean, Ratchet and Clank and Crash Bandicoot, they've had those massive falls from graces, but we still remember them for what they're for the fond memories.
But I just think the fall from grace of Need for Speed has been so much more drastic than
it's unprecedented how badly it's fallen.
Yeah, like from where to 2006 to 2020, the levels, like when you're thinking of stories and think about how good the story was with Darius and things like that, and how exciting it was to unlock new cars and things like that, to what it is now.
Sad times for the
Yeah.
new franchise.
Personally, I think it should belong in the bin as well, really.
I would say bronze simply for the fact of the earlier days of it being like revolutionary and so much fun. That I think for in the bin would be harsh because it has had games which have been very memorable for people. But apart from that,
in the bin is too much. Like it's really hard to understate the impact of the underground games. Like genuinely shape racing games for a generation or more. So bronze is probably fair, and that's so sad. It just really indicates how poorly received, or just how unmemorable a last generation of games have been for the series. It's very sad.
The side note then, Collins.
I'm again bronze, but quickly, when do you think the last Need for Speed game came out?
I'm going to say 2016.
2018.
I would say
2019.
2019 because I feel like
November.
No.
November.
Wow.
And none of us. What was it called? Does anyone want to have a guess what it was called?
Cars.
Overground.
with Need for Speed Heat.
It was. The game received mixed reviews.
It's a shock.
Wow.
That's what a polite way to put it.
Where's that gif, where it's like pretends to be shocked?
So are we
Two-Face.
agreed on bronze then?
I think that's fair. I would say bit more. I think bronze. I'm happy with bronze because there have been some great games.
All right. Well, in that case, from a racing game that fell from grace to a racing game that never had any grace to begin with, I'm on about F1 here, and this is a game I have played way too much of in the last couple of years. My God, is it built terribly? It's a bad game, okay, and it's why I haven't bought the last one or two. I don't even know how many it's been out. It's either one or two. First one I got was F1 16. I think I got 17 and 18, and then bought. The only reason I got this game in the first place was to do these online league races, which were fun to do, and it was the peak of my nerdiness in my entire life. But yeah, what can I say about this game? Okay, well, the campaign is as basic as possible. I mean, okay, do you know what? They've done all the tracks and they all look relatively nice and somewhat realistic. But Codemasters, they've really done a disservice to the F1 community. I mean, I've saw some stuff online, some of the things that have been said, and it's not nice. I'm not going to repeat it here. I dread to think what would happen if a herd of these F1 fans met the creator and directors of this game in real life. Probably not much, because they're F1 fans at the end of the day. But what I'm trying to say is this game's incredibly limited. The online bugs it has and the servers are terrible, probably worse than any FIFA, and that's saying something. There's not much good to say about this game. The only fun I had was because of the online leagues. The online modes are just random races. There's no substance to any of it. So I have to put this in the bin.
I'm just gonna say this quickly. I find F1 slightly boring as a sport anyway. So to have it on game form for me would be kind of my idea of hell.
Yeah.
So I couldn't, and I think I have played it before because I think it was on the PSN network as one of the free games once, and I did give it a go, and it was just awful.
Yeah. Paddy and Collins, I've played it with you, haven't I?
Yeah.
You have.
And
Paddy betrayed me.
Oh, here we go.
I enjoyed it just because it's fun to take people out in racing. But yeah, you know what? It's a very serious game. It's a very serious racing game. and it's not for me because I don't like F1, so it's hard for me to really take a step back and judge it. But if I had to, I wouldn't put it in bin.
No,
because
Paddy.
there's some solid elements to the game, but it's not for me. I'm struggling to put it somewhere. Maybe bronze. I don't know.
When you trying to take the game seriously as it wants to be taken, you have to do setups and all those kind of things. And the setups are glitchy as hell. If you look on the leaderboards, all of the setups by people who've done the races, they've done their laps legitimately, but the setups are all over the place with with tire pressures and the the wings, all that stuff. It's just it doesn't. None of it makes sense with the physics. Like it's all one end of the scale or the other. There's no like balance or anything. And then there's tire wear as well, which with certain setups is like you barely wear out tires, and then in other normal setups they'll wear like 10% a lap or whatever, which is really bad, and it just makes it unfair and just boring because then everyone's got to use the same glitchy setup and there's no variance and all the strategies are the same. And that's if you do an online league racing. And if you're buying this game and you're not thinking about doing something, where it's like a weekly slot at a certain time and you blah, 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 get invited, etc. And then it's put on the website, the results. If you're not doing that and you're buying the game, then I really don't know what you're going to do with the game because the career mode is just like, I get it's a racing game, and it's an F1 game, so it's kind of hard, but there's nothing. I mean, there's a little cutscene at the start. You sign your contract, and that's it. That is literally it. That's the only cutscene in the game, apart from if you go on the podium or something. There's just nothing. Like when I compare that to something like NBA My Player, and they've got all these like little background stories and stuff, and how people have in the past reviewed them really well. And compared to this, it's just different levels, and I think it's going to be mostly down to the developers because Codemasters they're a bit useless.
I think out of all of us, I think you should get the only say on this one.
Yeah, you've given us a Dragon's Den style pitch.
Yeah,
you're the only one who has the knowledge enough of this game to really judge it properly. So wherever you put it, we'll put it.
I haven't had a chance yet. Can I?
Have you played it, Neil?
I've played a few of the past ones. I'm also a big fan of other Codemasters games because it makes me quite shocked to hear like Codemasters being ripped like that because they've done an amazing job with Dirt and Dirt Rally. Those games are incredible. Those games are absolutely fantastic. The feel of playing a game like Dirt Rally, Codemasters has it absolutely down. So to hear like the Formula One series by the same developer be seen as something that's so poor, it is really hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah, F1 2016 was probably the best one I'd played. I played that. I played them ages ago, like 12, 13 on like the Wii or something, but I really can't remember them enough to give a judgment. But I played 16, 17, and 18. 16, in terms of the feel for the car, the handling and everything, was probably the best. But it still wasn't great because the amount of bugs, glitches, poor servers, and all of that stuff. It just, I mean, sometimes like people will get disconnected, mass disconnections at the start of races, and then you've got to restart and all this, and and again, no substance, And they tried to add some DLC with old cars to make it a bit more fancy, but it did nothing. But anyway,
we've talked about Formula One more than I ever wanted to in my lifetime. Let's put it somewhere.
This
one last thing. I've played F1 2001.
Right.
It was bad. Okay, there we go.
There you go.
So
cool.
It's not changed since. I spent way too many hours on this game because I did kind of enjoy the whole league racing aspect, but the game itself, not good. So it has to go in the bin for me.
Neil, do you want to give your vote, seeing as you wanted to talk
Uh,
about it?
I don't think I've played enough of
Yeah.
it to say, but you know that I suppose Bin has to be fair, but it's sad to see that, you know, especially from a developer like Codemasters, that, you know, in my opinion, it tends to, you know, those guys can do a great job.
Well,
let's
they
put it
did.
in bin. Let's put it in bin.
I
And
reckon bin. And
Martin, you'll go.
yeah, I think GTA is a bit lonely at the top.
I thought you were going to say let's do GTA.
So
Yeah.
I want something to join it. I want Red Dead Redemption. Is this going to be a debate, really? Do we think? I think it's a platinum franchise. I think they are arguably two of the best games around. Very consistent with each other. Not many people thought that you could catch up to the first Red Dead with the story of John Marston's revenge, but then you actually brought, in the second one, you brought context into why these were hated, why John wanted to kill these men. The story of Arthur is nothing short of a tragedy, how he saw what was his family basically turn on each other as he began to crumble himself. And I just think it's the perfect sort of franchise.
It's not a perfect franchise. Its online's horrific.
Well,
I second that.
Okay. Would you agree with the idea of it being a very good campaign?
Oh, it's a beautiful campaign, but its online is the most anti-consumer thing ever known to man. The reason why GTA's online unfortunately works is because they treated it like a drug addiction, where they gave you a little taste and then suddenly the massive microtransactions came on. Red Dead is a buggy mess online with microtransactions everywhere that make it unplayable. You can't call it a perfect franchise if half of its game is just unacceptable.
I wouldn't really call it half of it because
Well, it is.
was it online? Was Red Dead 1 online?
Yes.
That was a good online. I remember.
That was a good online.
So basically it's 3/4 of the game then. That's good.
Well, but the Red Dead 1 online might be good, but it's also forgettable. And you've also forgotten one thing, Mangan. The Red Dead franchise is free games.
Undead Nightmare, of course, yeah.
No, not Undead Nightmare. Red Dead Revolver. A completely forgettable game.
You do have to assess the franchise as a whole, and that includes Dead Nightmare and Revolver. A game that obviously, you know, you got to give a franchise time really to get into its get a franchise under steam, shall we say? But I mean, I don't think anyone would really go out and play Red Dead Revolver again, would they? Really?
No one is.
No.
Not a lot of people are playing it for the first time, even though they've said how much they really, really love the Redemption games.
It's like, you know, some franchises you might start late and think, "Wow, this is amazing. I'm going to go back and play the older games." I've been doing that lately, but I don't think you'd do that with Red Dead.
No.
And also, I'll give you another one here. Red Dead Redemption 2 has an absolutely amazing story and a great attention to detail, but there's still some problems with that game. The game design is outdated. Debate me.
In what sense?
It's exactly, in terms of game design, right? The idea of, you know, you've got a home base, go here, start mission, open world. Go here, start mission, open world. Is a bit outdated. And I know this is something that Jim Sterling has been talking a lot about in recent times. The idea that, you know, in a modern game, we should be aiming towards having a more fluid transition from free roam into missions. Red Dead didn't even try with that. They've stuck to the same old formula of, oh, your mission doesn't affect the free roam even slightly, which I think like now, we're in 2020, that should be criticized for creating an experience that's not cohesive.
Yeah, it's also a very empty open world, I find, unless you're at the camp. You don't do anything. You don't do anything when you're in between areas but you have to travel there, and it takes forever. It's a look, and also this beautiful story. I'm sorry, after you're on the island, and until you get to the ending, kind of boring and forgettable. The missions are just go here, shoot people, go here, shoot people. It's not what it's a complete tonal shift almost from the way the game started, and it's not perfect, and it's not platinum, and there's a reason why Red Dead's clearly number 2 to GTA. It's nowhere near, it's not on its level.
Anyone else?
Okay. Anyone else?
No, I haven't played it. It's not. It's not weird. It looks like a game I'd want to play. It looks fun, and I've heard good things about it. But really, it's down to you guys. This one.
The only thing I would input is I don't think this could be higher than gold, for the fact that Mass Effect is in gold, and you said how those first 3 games were incredible, but the 4th one, not so much. And then you were saying about how 3/4 of this game is maybe very good, but 1/4. So I don't feel it's a platinum game for that kind of judgment basis.
Put it on gold either way.
I think we've just broke Mangan's heart.
No, I just keep this going, really.
All right, then. With me, I'm going to move on, and I'm going to talk about one of the most iconic video game characters of all time. And he's unfortunately on the same point with Need for Speed. We're going to go talk about Sonic the Hedgehog. Oh, I mean, the guy is the headline mascot for the second biggest video game console in the Sega Genesis. But the moment Mario turns to 3D and he's expected to do so, all his games become dodgy. Is anyone going to debate me on that?
There was some bad 3D Sonic games, weren't there? Oh, dearie me.
Wasn't he basically a relationship with a woman in one of them?
It's the Sonic 2000.
That's Sonic 06, my boy. The one of the worst rated video games of all time. Sonic 06.
Just so many terrible Sonic games. Obviously, Sonic 2006, is that takes the cake.
Yeah, but you've got Sonic the Black Knight. You've got Sonic Unleashed, which tricked us by thinking it was going to be a good 3D Sonic game, and then he turned into a werehog.
Oh, how about Sonic Riders? That's a terrible game. Oh, the hoverboard spin-off.
Good God. The Sonic Boom ones that recently came out, not good. And but you know what? There's one good 3D Sonic game, Sonic Heroes.
You know what, Collins? I reckon there's 2. Because I would probably say, it's Sonic franchise. Shadow the Hedgehog.
You're right. It meets the call, but Shadow the Hedgehog, the most I'm so edgy game of all time.
God, if you turn Sonic black and give him a gun and a gravelly voice.
Mario's big rival is a fun fat guy who likes money. Sonic's rival is someone who I'm surprised hasn't cut himself.
You got to consider the good with the bad too, right? Like the original game.
Every 2D game.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah,
but,
it's just there's unfortunately too much bad. It's unfortunately the same as Need for Speed. There's so much good in the Sonic franchise with the original 3. My dad, he can complete the first level of the original Sonic in 14 seconds.
That's cool.
Yeah, he's done it that many times. So he can. So it's that good. The first 3 games. And Sonic Mania, the fan-made one that Sega went, you know what? You're making a great Sonic game, so we're going to fund you for it. That's also a really good one. And you thought that would be a return to form. And then what was that one where you could make your own Sonic? That came out. And that one's rubbish.
I'm hearing a lot of negativity here. So is this going in the bin or bronze?
This is bronze.
Let's bring it. I'm going to bring it more positive. We haven't talked about the Olympic Games.
Oh, Mario.
I'll give you that. Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games. Beauties.
That's a banger.
Similar to rabbits, the only thing that saves Sonic from the is Mario.
Yeah.
But even then, they're spin-offs. They're not mainline. It's like you can't really call them saving graces. At the end of the day, Sonic still has enough games to stand on its own 2 feet as a pioneer of video game history. Yeah. It's unfortunately standing on its 2 feet in a river of feces.
Interesting.
That's a great story.
Well, yeah, bronze.
Yeah, so bronze.
That's
fair. Next, we're back on Neil, aren't we?
Yep.
All right. Okay. How about we talk about my quarantine addiction, which is the Yakuza series. My word. Honestly, this series is something I've never thought of before this lockdown started. But ever since I decided to go play it, I have become an addict. I'm now on I think this is my 5th Yakuza game in about 3 months.
It does scare me slightly. I'm not going to lie to you, Neil. It is like an addiction. I remember last week logging on to my PlayStation, and when it's, like, what's up, it was like, Neil Hardman has completed such and such trophy in Yakuza 2. Neil has completed such and such trophy in Yakuza 3.
Yeah. And it's probably, the world is locked down, right? We're all seeking an escape. And Yakuza has basically, over the years, turned into a Japanese life simulator. Not the Shenmue style, but, the good style. It's so immersive. It makes you feel like you're actually there, which is so impressive. The characters are surprisingly endearing. The stories. Do you know what? I'm not a soft person, but since I've been playing the Yakuza series, I've cried 4 times, which is amazing. Like, how can a game about some Japanese gangsters make me cry 4 times?
Plus,
it's mental.
Plus,
it's so good.
Plus, it's got your boy as a moving mahjong, is it?
Oh, yes. Winning mahjong by Mangan.
I mean, what more could you want? This is platinum for me just because of that.
Genuinely, because I feel like me and Neil are the only 2 people that have played this game series. Am I correct in saying that?
Yeah,
I would say so. I know it's a different game altogether, but I played like Sleeping Dogs, which is similar to Yakuza in a way.
Not really.
The
I
idea
won't
of it.
really say it.
I can see the comparison.
Yeah, I can see the comparison, but I won't really say it.
Well, I have tried to get. I have wanted to get Yakuza.
I would highly recommend it just for the amount of zany fun that you can have for such a super serious main story that these games typically have. Just anytime not on a mission, walk around the city or whatever map you're on, and you will end up in some absolutely hilarious random side mission. For instance, side mission in Yakuza 0, Neil, did you do the one where you had to defend Michael Jackson from zombies?
I did, that was fun.
Yeah.
And
did you do the one where you had to be a movie producer?
Yes.
Did you do the one where you won a chicken who could manage your strip club?
I did, yes. I bowled my way to a chicken called Nugget.
Yeah. These games.
Is this comparable at all to like the Saints Row terms of zany mission, like side missions and stuff?
Do you know what? I would say no. The thing about Saints Row is it has a certain tone, right? It's silly, it's bombastic, but Yakuza is a game that masters tone. It is a master of tone. It can hit you with the most heartbreaking, soul-crushing storylines while still feeling completely at ease when you're racing like miniature cars or doing any of the other like tens of mini games. It's so full of content, but the tone is just so on point. It's so immersive, and it's spectacular.
All right.
Neil, I'm slightly concerned because you're saying such positive things, but you've already put a game in platinum, gold, and silver.
Indeed, but we weren't sticking to that, were we? Like rigidly.
I thought we had to do our own ones, and then it could come to votes.
Oh,
I mean,
I'm glad that we're able to point this out, because at the very end of the day, I'm outvoting bronze. This is a gold game.
gold is a very, very fair place to put this. I have to admit, it's a struggle for me not to put it platinum, because I really don't quite know what's very wrong with this as a franchise. I mean, you could say some of the earlier games are very janky, but God,
Yeah.
another element of this is, like, you can really tell the progress of the games, like how they improved over time. Like, by the time of like the latest releases, which I think is, well, Kiwami 2, it just feels so perfect. Like, everything about it feels so good, and I'm just so excited for when the next game comes to the UK at the end of 2020. Interesting departure for the series, the new Yakuza game. They are turning it into a turn-based game, a bit like Final Fantasy. So we'll see how that goes.
So this is going in gold then?
Well, I'm voting gold, and Neil's voting gold.
All right, and me, Nick, Paddy, and Ritten really have no say in it because we've not played it. Well, yeah, Ritten, what you got for us?
Is it me?
Yeah, I think it is. Yeah.
I thought. Okay.
Oh no, it's Paddy. It's
Yeah,
Paddy. I'm
Paddy,
sorry.
Paddy.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Paddy.
I'm going to go with Assassin's Creed now.
There we go.
Well, where do you think I'm going to put it?
I thought this would be top 2 in yours. Where did you put?
It's actually opposite end, mate.
Oh, thank God.
Because obviously the original ones in this series, like Assassin's Creed 2, Brotherhood, the Ezio story is amazing.
That's why.
But once that ran out, the game lost everything. It lost all its hardware, basically, I'd say. It just kept churning out the same repetitive gameplay over and over with no story anymore, just to make money. There was no need to continue it past Ezio.
I think the Ezio collection is what keeps it up, really. Like, there are games besides Ezio that I have enjoyed, like Black Flag. And I did slightly enjoy Assassin's Creed 3 in terms of like the story and stuff, not so much the characters. But I think after Unity, after the buggy mess that was, it really started to dwindle.
I didn't even like Black Flag, and that's considered like one of the best games after the Ezio story. And
So they're probably the best.
a lot of people do like Black Flag, and that's fair enough. But I really found the sailing element super tedious and boring, and that is like 90% of the game.
Assassin's Creed is a game that has always survived on its environment. It's why the only 2 ones that are truly liked are the first 2 Ezio ones. Assassin's Creed 1 did just enough in order to get a sequel. And when they brought it back to the setting of Assassin's Creed 1 with Ezio, everyone's favourite Italian, it's rubbish. It's so dreary and not fun.
It is really repetitive. I remember the multiplayer mode they tried to make as well. What a failure that was. I was so really looking forward to that. But it was just such a mess.
Hide and seek Assassin's Creed.
To be fair, I remember playing that. I thought it was quite fun. I kind of liked the
my expectations were maybe falsely high for that, but it was a real letdown.
That was during the era of gaming where every single player game had to have multiplayer attached to it. I believe which one was that? Was that Unity?
I think
Yes.
so. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, which was
Which
the
one?
same time when Mass Effect 3 came out, and that got multiplayer forced onto it as well.
Co-op everywhere. It was so in trend.
Yeah. Dead
The
Space 3 came out that year as well, didn't it? Or around that time, and that for some reason had co-op, despite the fact its entire point is it's a solo horror game.
Like
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed has really become like, one of those pinnacles of the Ubisoft game. You know what I'm talking about, right? They
Yeah.
all have the same mission structure, same kind of map structure, climb something tall to unfog the map kind of thing. And, I appreciate that they've kind of tried to revamp the series in recent years, switching to a more RPG style with Origins and Unity. But my word, even those games, they're so grindy. Like, they're awesome, their environments, again, yeah, but, like, they've changed the repetitive gameplay into a grind. So the series still has not recovered at all.
Odyssey didn't it? It started out looking like it was going to be really good, and then it hit like a brick wall with the level gap that you suddenly found yourself in, and everyone realized, oh, okay, it wants me to spend money on microtransactions.
Yeah, such a shame that.
Can we just stick Ubisoft into the bin tier? Because they're all the same game, except different.
That's a fair one. No higher than bronze, right? They are all kind of the same game. You could totally categorize a lot of Ubisoft games.
Yeah, I would agree. I think it would be doing it a disservice if it was put in the bin. I am slightly looking forward to the next one because it does have features that haven't been seen on Assassin's Creed before. Whether it delivers on them is another question entirely. But yeah,
What would you vote for then?
I'd say bronze. I would say bronze.
Yeah, I'm going bronze.
I would put it silver because I really enjoyed Brotherhood and Assassin's Creed 2, but obviously it's tailed off a bit since then, to say, politely. So yeah, silver I think is fair, but I can understand bronze if people really don't like the last few.
I'd go bin.
I'd put it in the bin.
These games just don't. They're just unnecessary.
I'd recommend try playing this game like Assassin's Creed 2 now. Yeah, I feel like it's a game that hasn't aged very well. Good story, the gameplay, and the mission structure. Oh, it has not aged very well.
Is it 2 or Brotherhood that had the flashback scene to when you went as Altair again, and no one could get up the building because they designed it so poorly?
Wasn't that Revelations?
I thought it was Revelations, yeah.
Oh, is that Revelation? Oh, fair enough. That's a rubbish one anyway. Never mind. All right, so yeah, in that case, I think it has to be bronze then because it's 2 votes to bronze and bin, but the last vote to silver makes it closer to bronze.
Well in written.
Saving it.
Speaking of which, Ritson, now it's your turn.
Right. I'm going with Football Manager.
Oh, tasty.
We've all had, I think, a lot of fun on Football Manager.
We've also had a lot of pain.
Yes. I really like Football Manager. Well, I say really like. I haven't played it in a while. But I remember playing it. It was a lot of fun. It was completely different type of football game. Obviously everyone's so used to FIFA or PES or whatever. But then being like the manager, doing the behind the scenes kind of thing, transfers, the different kind of details to contracts, player statistics, the way you viewed the game, the way you were kind of out of control, you had to adjust tactics and everything. A lot of fun, and I'll definitely get the next one. Well, probably. And whether or not I'll end up throwing my computer out of the window because of a goal I concede in the 90th minute is another question. It could happen though. I know Paddy's broke several things due to Football Manager, or maybe it's just other games. I don't know which game was it? Paddy. Which things have you broken because of Football Manager? Because I know you threw your headset on the floor and it snapped in half. I know you.
Paddy is currently away at the moment. He's currently suffering from PTSD involved with Football Manager. But one thing I will say about it is you always have that one save that you look back on and think fondly of.
Yeah.
You always have that one campaign as a manager where you think, where's my resume?
About Football Manager is when it's going well, it is so enjoyable. When you're finally bringing that mid-table team up and up the league, and you might get Champions League or whatever, you really start to achieve things. It is so much fun and satisfying when that happens, unless you're Collins and you use a glitchy 5-2-3 tactic with Mbappe or whatever.
Yeah. I didn't buy Mbappe till season 4.
Whatever. Or unless you're Nathan and you actually just take a tactic from online. But well, allegedly.
Allegedly, you admitted it.
Okay, fair enough. But anyway, I would personally put this gold because it's a lot of fun and it's on your own or, online is great too. It's not platinum though because the damage it can do to your mental health is not safe for a game. It shouldn't be allowed. Also, I think we've all complained about the mechanics about it and how goals can be quite repetitive sometimes. I remember there was stuff about like crosses, just always every goal to be a cross.
One thing about that I would say is it's near impossible to score like a 1-on-1 in this Football Manager.
Yeah,
that's
been a problem throughout
they've
games.
Fixed that.
But it has recurred throughout some of their games.
Yeah, I think I'd like to speak now as Football Manager is one of my favorite things ever. I have owned Football Manager since FM handheld 2007. There's so much to go on. The reason why Football Manager I think works better than any other yearly sport release the game, and I'll get on this later on with my choice, is that every save can go off in a new direction, bringing something new as a story to you, rather than the repetitive slog of every year. It's fair enough, if you think FM10 and FM11, there's not much changed gameplay wise, but just the new influx of database and the new set of Wonder Kids that have came out, it means that if you start a save here, you're going to end up discovering something new compared to a previous save you've done, whether it be on the same Football Manager or a different Football Manager.
Yeah.
You're never just going into the same scenarios.
No, that's true. It's also great. One of the best moments on Football Manager history for me is when Mangan bought Kurt Zuma from Collins, and then he retired at 28 years old because of a knee injury.
The single most hilarious thing we've ever had happen on Football Manager. It's something that would never happen again on Football Manager. If we tried to do it again, we'd never get that happening again.
I didn't even think that was a possible thing that they put in the game, that someone could actually retire because of multiple injuries on their knee. It was great. And there's so many online moments and it's great when you see one of your friends who's doing well. I'm talking about you here, Collins, by the way, in the past. And I've seen you doing well, and then you go in the Champions League and you lose it 2 years in a row. Oh, that brought tears to my eyes, and how
it did lead me to signing Mbappe and then completely destroying the league. So I want to be too happy I did that.
But remember, I did beat you 3-2 that one time with your Mbappe for you.
My only bloody loss in that season.
Yeah, and I love that. But I went 3-0 up and you put 2. Anyway, that's off topic.
Yeah. Paddy, you need to talk about it. Come on.
Is he here?
Yeah, he is here. Don't worry.
Sorry, lads, I was incapacitated.
He was having, like I said, he was having PTSD because of past experiences with it.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
Just talk about Football Manager.
Oh, Football Manager! What a game! Oh my God, what a game! Hell of a game. No, but seriously, I think my first Football Manager was 2012.
No, it was 14.
That's the one.
I remember
2014.
obviously because I had 12. But oh no, I know how we all got into it. I was playing Football Manager 11 on the PSP during a school trip. So Ritson ended up buying FM13 for the PC, and we did a save, and you would be on the Skype call with us, which led to you and Nathan buying 14, which led to all the years of misery you've had on Football Manager.
It is a game that makes your life more depressed. It can massively affect your mental health.
I mentioned that, yeah.
No game has made me more emotional. Good and bad, to be fair. It generally is like being a real life Football Manager, except probably worse, because you're not getting paid hundreds of thousands of pounds to do it.
I was just saying before, Paddy, that I think you broke multiple things because of this game. Now, I'm not sure if it's the headset that you threw on the floor that snapped in half, or it's when you punched your laptop screen and it went half black. Which was it?
Listen,
Or was it both?
Listen, you're wrong there. FIFA was the headset.
Right.
Okay.
Career mode. The laptop, I don't want to talk about that because as far as my family are concerned, that was an accident.
Oh no!
Terrible accident.
Are you saying your mum's going to listen to this as well?
Well,
Not this one.
you know what? I don't think she'd be that interested in video games, so I think I'm probably safe with this one.
We fought her.
Yeah, I don't think she'd be that bothered about Football Manager, but yeah. I mean, I've generally broke down crying after a game of Football Manager before. Like, I'm ashamed to say it, I am, but it's that type of game. It's that type of game. It's horrendously frustrating, but that's not necessarily its fault. It's kind of meant to be in a way, because Football Manager, it's a simulator, and Football Manager is one of the most distressing jobs in the world.
Yeah. The thing is, with how stressful and annoying it can be, it makes when you get things right and things go well so much better and feel so good. Especially when you're in an online server and you're doing better than your mates as well. It just, it's a different type of feeling.
The feelings of lows you experience is equal to the feeling of highs.
Yeah.
One of my favourite moments is Ramirez in the 85th minute when Ritson thought he'd won the league.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just shows the realism is not necessarily its strong suit.
Ramirez has scored a goal before.
But how many?
Townsend hasn't scored a Champions League winner, so. But you have to take
isn't that the charm of the game?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That is the charm of the game.
Isn't that the charm of the game in a sense?
All right. Yeah. All right. I reckon vote now. I'm going platinum.
I'll go gold.
I'm gonna say gold.
I'm gonna say gold.
Neil, you got anything to add?
I would say bronze. Outside of your own little experiences that you've been talking about, the game has had a very negligible impact on gaming as a whole.
Fair enough.
But I don't think that's the game's fault. I think people aren't willing to give it a chance. I think people are far more willing to just play FIFA as a football game. They're not willing to give football a chance because it requires a bit of effort. And I think people don't like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Anyway, I think gold.
Right. I am going to choose one that I don't think any of you would have played. I'm going to go with Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. And before we start this podcast, or this episode rather, a couple of you guys said, why don't you do Pokemon as a whole? And I think they are two entirely separate things. I think, yes, it's the same creatures, basically. But
creatures?
Yeah, crazy, yeah.
How dare you?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, they're pocket monsters,
Hit me
man.
side away when I said that. But they are two different things, two different companies as well. Chunsoft made this one. But I think, let's be honest, as much as we enjoy the games, the original Pokemon, you could say that once you've played one, you've played them all in a sense.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't rate the Pokemon franchise high if we had included it.
Yeah, it's the same sort of structure. You know, you go to the first gym, go complete 8 of them, then do the championship. Pokemon Mystery Dungeon was the breath of fresh air that the franchise needed. Basically, you start off as a Pokemon who used to be a human, and you get a partner Pokemon. Usually, I'd go with Pikachu because, let's be honest,
You big ball.
Because I know what I'm getting. But it's not so much about going to gyms as it is you are stopping the world from ending, and you have to defeat all the legendary Pokemon who have gone slightly mad due to the fact of the world starting to crumble around them, and they've gone insane. And you have to defeat to get over it. And it's just something I really enjoy. I wouldn't put it that high because there are times when it can steep into predictability. Personally, I would put this probably silver.
Just quickly on your point, like I think that's harsh saying like, oh, it's not just going to gyms. All the Pokemon games have a world-ending threat in them that you help stop at the same time as collecting the gym badges.
Yeah, but this is something completely different for me.
No, it's not. It's saving the world, which all the Pokemon games do.
But have you actually played it?
Well, in terms of how you've described it,
This is something completely different. This is something loads enjoyable. And what I like about Mystery Dungeon as well is that as different games went out, it improved itself a lot, which is not what you can say about loads of franchises in a sense, but it just got better and better for me. In fact, Super Pokemon Mystery Dungeon, which is the latest game to come out, sold the most weekend games in Japanese history. And that does say a lot, but Japanese are someone that take their games very seriously, including Pokemon, certainly. And to have that massive influx of sales just shows the impact that Mystery Dungeon had.
anyone got any points to add on?
I've got nothing to add on.
No, I haven't played Pokemon.
I think
Neil?
I think this is silver in itself. Neil, what do you think? If you played this,
Said me either. I'm not a big fan of
Right,
Pokemon.
okay.
yeah, I think silver. I think
No one's going to argue with you.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we go to me, and I'm going to talk about a game. Kind of cheated in that mine's not a game franchise, but it's game franchises. I briefly talked about it before when Richard was going on about Football Manager. I am talking about sports games as a whole, and in particular yearly release sports games. Lads, we buy them every year, and they give you minimal changes while expecting you to pay ham over fist in microtransactions, and it's just not worth it, really.
What's the definition of insanity?
Doing the same thing over and over,
and expecting
it to change.
Now, these franchises are massive, just money makers, and
They are
basically nothing else.
Yeah,
they've got a template for a game and they tweak it slightly each year.
Yeah, and you know what? Everyone in this call is guilty of it. I'm not going to criticize people who buy these games every year because we do. For this year, I own the latest Madden and the latest FIFA.
But I think we only buy FIFA to play Pro Clubs. We're not expecting it to be a good game.
Yeah, no, we buy it for the good time to have with mates and enjoy it. But God, we need to find a game that's actually good while we do this as well.
Well, we got GTA.
It does make us angry. I mean, if we could say some of the things in this podcast that we say in Pro Clubs This would be rated R for the next 3 months.
This wouldn't be on the end.
This wouldn't be allowed.
We'd be Me Too, mate. We'd be, all
my
sorts.
God. But yeah, I want to know where you put it, Collins, because I think bin, but
these games aren't bad to
They're
play, so I can't put it in bin. Like Duke Nukem, like we look at what's actually in the bin minus F1. There's 2 franchises there with some of the worst games of all time. These games aren't inherently wrong. FIFA is still something that I enjoy playing as a one-off. Madden is still something that I enjoy playing as a one-off. The way that I've sort of figured out how I kind of want to play these is with Madden and NBA, I usually split the yearly releases. I'll take alternate years, and it's sort of at that point where I've gathered a bit more of an itch for them, and I enjoy them. But I can't rate them high. They're just the same thing every year. It's bronze.
To me, they're bin, mate, because they're just the way they take advantage of the customers.
Bin or bronze.
The way they treat their customers is horrendous.
And I think I put it into the bin out of my own guilt as well.
I personally put it bronze just because I don't think they're as bad as the games that are in the bin, but they're still I get all the criticisms that have been said, and that's why I think it belongs in bronze, because they're not great and they don't really try to make improvements. They're very lazy. But at the end of the day, they are games which we do enjoy to play, and they aren't that terrible overall, especially in comparison to some that we've already mentioned.
Right, Neil?
I think they belong in the bin, personally. They summarise everything wrong with modern gaming, really, don't they? They just distill it down into a little shell of, a complete black hole of creativity and passion from the development team. Insidious microtransactions, insidious loot box and gambling mechanics in some of them. Looking at you, NBA.
NBA 2K is just the worst for it.
Because, these games, they're meant to be accessible for everyone, right? Like, come on, like a great majority of humans, I think, they love one sport or another, don't they? And these games here, they're all they exist. They don't exist to make people happy, do they? They exist. There's no passion involved in the creation of these games, and that is so tragic.
And FIFA actually encourages gambling, if you think about it.
Oh, it does?
With its packs. I mean, gambling is such a big issue. If you look at like sports, people getting addicted in that, and it sounds a bit over the top, but maybe they're encouraging it.
It is. Look, I just, I put them in bronze because I thought as games, like in terms of the mechanics and everything, they're despicable, unimaginative, and just slogged out. But they're not fundamentally bad to play. But I do 100% agree with putting it in bin as well. But it pains me because my first 2 video games that I remember playing are FIFA Road to World Cup '98 and NBA Jam. And NBA Jam's a bit of a spin-off, so fair. So that can sort of be in its own way. But FIFA Road to '98, and it's like I'm still playing FIFA now, and I'm still playing NBA now. And NBA, my word, the fall from grace this company has had ever since, because it used to be NBA 2K and NBA Live. NBA Live just ended up getting completely trounced in sales. That they said, okay, yeah, no, we're not going to bother making the game anymore. And the moment that happened, 2K have just decided, let's try and make money. 2K coincidentally are owned by Take-Two, who are also the owners of GTA. So I mean, I wonder why there's such a heavy microtransaction influence on GTA.
Yeah, so I think all in all we've kind of decided bin then. Really?
Yeah,
I don't mind in the bin, to be honest.
The companies deserve it. The companies deserve to be known as bin.
Just literal slot machines in 2K, but it's not gambling.
Yeah.
All right. So,
Neil?
this is our final
row of games.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go, Neil.
All right. Okay. Fallout. Yeah, here we go. This is an interesting. I think that the Fallout series is pretty terrible.
Okay.
That might be controversial. Let's see here. I do need to disclaim here that Fallout 1 and 2, for their time, obviously pretty excellent games, really well considered. However, they have aged horribly, but that's not what I'm going to focus on here. Also, shout out to Fallout New Vegas, which is great. And certainly the things I'm saying here are not going to apply to Fallout New Vegas because Obsidian did a magnificent job of that game. But let's see, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Fallout 76. So many things wrong with their concept of the open world RPG, and they've had a bad effect on many other games because of it. They don't respect your choices. That, I think, is the key problem. The games are open world, but not in a true way. It's like what you do doesn't really matter. You're always getting pigeonholed, even though the world is actually massive. And that was a big problem in Fallout 3. Got worse in Fallout 4, like even less choice. And then Fallout 76, which was a broken mess and has now got even worse. We can talk about that.
Fallout 76 is hilarious because Bethesda realised no one plays a Western RPG for its story. It's just the sheer cockiness of thinking Fallout 76 would actually sell well. An MMO version of Fallout, bearing in mind Bethesda is yet to have a successful Fallout game single player that they'd created. Because it's fun that you should say that. Because, again, yeah, Fallout New Vegas and Fallout 1 and 2 are obviously made by different companies. Fallout New Vegas actually got made, and didn't it get made in like such a hilariously short amount of time because Oblivion, not Oblivion, Bethesda wanted the game to fail because then it makes Fallout 3 look better.
I don't know about that conspiracy theory. I do remember the thing that Bethesda did. They wouldn't pay their staff bonuses, would they? Because some technicality like you get a bonus if you have like a Metacritic average of like 85%, and they got something like 84.5 or something like that, if I remember correctly. They're a shady company at Bethesda these days.
Oh, they've always been shady. They're rubbish. It's Elder Scrolls. I don't even like that much as well. It's better than Fallout, but just Bethesda don't make good games. They've survived on a reputation of their glitches are funny, and it's yes. Is it it's the famous comment from their Reddit AMA like was this a bug or a feature? And they responded yes.
Yeah, I really don't like this genre of game. I really don't like open world games. So anywhere below silver for me is fine.
I mean, Fallout 76. I remember they marketed the fact that they hadn't programmed any NPCs into the game as a feature, which is remarkable. It's like, we do not have this content. Isn't that great?
Every MMO has NPCs because you need it just to help yourself get into the game. Even if it's just as an introduction quest or just the shopkeepers, you need them for a fundamental basis of establishing some form of ground level of a world. What did they expect? Did they think someone was going to treat Fallout 76 as their 9 till 5 job? Oh yeah, you know what? I'll be the shopkeeper. My opening hours are going to be half an hour tomorrow. But I've got 4 hours available the next day. Oh, what do you mean? You're from Australia and that means that I'll never be open for you? That's not my problem. It's not how games as a fundamental design work.
So where are we going to put it then?
Wait, how about their recent moves? It's worth discussing. Their Fallout 6 premium membership, £100 per year, from the company that bought you horse armor. Now you can pay £100 a year or £13 a month to pay our terrible broken game. Amazing.
What,
Stunning.
£100 a year membership for a game? What?
A terrible game too.
Because you can't for a console try and make an MMO in the way that World of Warcraft works. Because console players already have to pay for online. They already have to pay for network or live, which in itself is a horrendous business practice. But hey, it makes money for them, so of course they're going to keep on doing it. But just the reason why World of Warcraft could do that is because they ran their own servers and they weren't at the whim of a console. You can't do that with something like Fallout, which is on PS4 or Xbox. It just doesn't work that way.
Personally, I think the highest that this can go up is silver.
It can't even go that high.
I think there are bits that I enjoy, but there is also a lot of frustration.
They're a gem, isn't there? Fallout New Vegas is a gem.
Yeah.
But it's a gem amongst games that just aren't very good. I know lots of people like Fallout 3, but for me, just completely inconsequential games. Like whatever you did just didn't really matter very much.
I mean, like you said, it's a gem amongst coal, and that's all you can really say about it.
I like the fact that you can choose one path for the entirety of the way, so you could choose to be part of a single faction for the entirety of your Fallout 3 front, and then in the final mission, just choose to be on a different one.
Logic, huh?
Oh yeah, we got to decide where Fallout should be now. So what are we thinking?
Ben,
I would put it in bronze.
I'll say bin.
I'm going to withdraw my vote. I don't really know the game much, and so I don't really feel like I should have a say.
What's your vote, Mangan?
I would say bronze, but if it is...
God. So we're even.
Give it to Neil because it's his
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
His game.
We'll say bronze. I'm happy to say bronze. My knowledge of the game isn't as good anyway, so I think it's fair.
All right. In that case, Paddy, go on. Do your final game.
Well, my final one is actually Portal, which I have put as a platinum game franchise. Now I'll tell you why. Because if someone said to you, like, describe the game, you'd say, "Oh, it's a game where you put holes in the wall and you walk through them." It sounds terrible, but actually, it's one of the best games I've ever played and one of the best multiplayer games I've ever played.
Definitely.
Which says something with its simplicity. I just think it says so much to do that much with a game that's so simple. That's why I put it platinum.
Yeah, I remember us doing the co-op for Portal 2, and it was a lot of fun. The whole the puzzles you've got to solve to get to the end of each stage and everything. It's really made the most of a simple game mode, really, in terms of how it works. A lot of fun, and it looks nice. It's a very nice looking game as well. Yeah. I think the graphics and the colours of the portals and everything, although it's not much when you're rating a game overall, I think it does add to it. And and you can have some funny moments as well.
And who would have thought Stephen Merchant would be your perfect, little companion?
Companion. Yeah. The single player campaign is a lot of fun as well, I'd like to say.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a good story to it.
Quickly to say as well, Portal 1 is kind of the perfect puzzle game. It's not too long, challenges you, and has a fantastic story.
Yeah.
You want to say anything?
You got to mention the comedy and the voice acting. I know you mentioned Stephen Merchant, but wow, this game is a funny game.
It is.
Yeah, it's hard to do comedy right in video games, but Portal, wow, what an excellent example of comedy in video games.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the thing about so many positives for such a simple concept is amazing in itself.
I just wish there was more of it, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the only negative.
But
The fact
that's
that, well, I mean, that's a good negative to have,
Yeah,
though, to want
exactly.
more, but I don't know,
Only
why
Valve could
haven't they
counter
made more?
free
Why haven't they
Only-
made more?
because Valve can't counter free.
I would agree with Paddy. I think this does belong in Platinum.
same here, and it's a good thing that we're like, oh, I wish there was another one, because a lot of the franchises we've already discussed, we've said how they started off good, and all the way along the years they are.
Maybe we shouldn't criticize that, because so many franchises churn out game after game and they just turn terrible.
Yeah,
They're like, sometimes it's a good thing to keep your audience waiting.
I think this
Looking at you, Need for Speed.
I think this has been
yeah.
perfectly
Yeah.
neat and organised. Our decision here. We all in agreement.
I mean, here's one for you. Is Portal the greatest puzzle game of all time?
Nah, mate, Tetris.
I haven't played enough puzzle games to really decide that, but it's the best one I've played.
It's probably up there, isn't it? It
Yeah.
probably is up there. Nothing really springs to mind as like immediately better, does it?
No, I wouldn't say so.
Platinum is probably a fair place for a game
Yeah.
you could consider one of the best of its genre.
Yeah,
Excellent.
I'm happy with that.
Right, Written.
Listen.
Your final one.
Okay, my final one. I'm going with The Last of Us, which the first one of the two games is my favorite game of all time by miles. Nothing even comes close to this. The story, like, you think you've heard it all. Oh, it's zombie apocalypse. Yeah, it's very generic, but somehow it's not generic. The story is great. The emotional attachment to the characters you get as the story progresses is incredible. They've maxed out basically everything that they could. They also give it a realistic input in terms of the infection. It's cordyceps, which is an infection that happens through ants, I believe, and somehow it's mutated and gone on to humans. And I think it's a really, I wouldn't say it's quite unique, because I think there'll have been other examples that you could probably point to, but it's definitely better than just, it's a random zombie infection. And, they're not zombies, they're infected. And there's different kinds of zombies in this game, which make for a lot of really tense moments in the campaign. I know the first one had a little online multiplayer game mode, but I think they just stuck that in there just for the sake of it.
Yeah.
It was never focused on the online at all. To be fair, I did play the online, and it was a little bit fun, but I never played that much. Anyways, I've only got through about half of the second game, but already at first hour or two, I was a bit skeptical, but yeah, it's fantastic so far. Really enjoying it. Really tense. I've jumped out of my skin a couple times already, which I hate, but also like, because I can't expect anything. Like, I'm always guessing what's going to happen next. Am I actually safe here when there's nice music, or is another one, infected going to jump out of nowhere, or is there going to be, a bad group? And the story behind those bad groups, how they end up connecting in the second game to the actions of the first game. It's incredibly well made. Also, the graphics are really incredible on this second game, especially. And, there's a reason why it's got hundreds of Game of the Year awards. And I don't know how this could go anywhere else but Platinum, but I'd really like to know what you guys think of this as well.
Listen, I've got an important question to ask you. Is this the Schindler's List of video games?
What do you mean?
Do you not see that tweet? Ah, brilliant! Some game journalist decided, you know what? I'm gonna try and get a big headline out of here, and said, yes, Last of Us 2 is the Schindler's List of video games.
Dear.
Yes, this game that tries to teach you that violence is wrong, but has a pre-order package that gives you more ammo capacity to commit that violence that is wrong, is the same about a movie as a man who saved Jews from concentration camps.
What the hell? I've not seen that.
I never want to see that.
Brilliant. Nick Druckmann, or what's his name? The
Neil
director?
Druckmann.
Neil Neil Druckmann. He got really insulted when people started making jokes about that because I can't believe you missed this Twitter trend. Tons of people were tweeting out like massive jokes. I mean, it was like FIFA is it's like, stuff like FIFA is the Airbud of video games, stuff like that. Just utterly ridiculous statements to make because that is an utterly ridiculous statement. I hate the fact that games journalists like to pretend that they're really reviewing movies because you're not. You're reviewing a video game, and your story's in a video game is never going to be as good as one in a movie.
Yeah, I think a funny thing about The Last of Us is I was never ever going to play this game. The only reason I ended up playing this game is because I got a PS3 or 4 as a Christmas present years ago, and it was like packaged in. The game was packaged in with the console, and my parents just thought, "Oh, well, we'll get that." It looks, they'd seen the adverts for the remastered version, all these Game of the Year awards, and I got it. I was like, "Oh, great!" Obviously, really happy. But then I was like, "Oh, Last of Us, I don't think I'm gonna play it." Ended up getting bored. Thought, "Oh, why not?" And I got completely addicted to that first game and finished it within a few days. I'm so glad I played it because no other game has had a campaign close to what I experienced with this game, and I can't wait to finish the second game either. I'm probably gonna get straight on it after this, to be honest.
Yeah, so what have we decided here? Because it is one of my favourite games as well, and I have yet to play the second one yet. I'm a bit skeptical. I've seen a bit of what happens because obviously I was doing research for this.
It all got leaked as well, didn't it?
Yeah, I did. I was quite good with the leaks. I didn't manage to avoid it, but yeah, what does everyone have for it?
To me, it's gold. I like the first one. I haven't played the second one, but I don't think the first one's as good as it's made out. It's a nice story, but it's not some fantastic piece of art that everyone tried to make the franchise out to be. The video game.
Well, of course, it's a video game.
Well, yeah,
But-
I don't. Yeah, I know. That was a bit of a stupid statement.
But I mean, I think the relationships you feel developing between Joel and Ellie throughout the game is really good, and I think it is quite an emotional roller coaster throughout. In fact, like within an hour or less of the game, Joel's daughter dies, and you're just like, "Oh my god, what?" I thought that was going to be like a main character.
That was a bit of a heart wrenching start.
The way it happened.
That moment when you realise the guy's daughter isn't the girl on the cover.
No, yeah, that's what I thought. I was like, hang on a second. I thought she was the main character, but no. And also there's like scares where you think Joel's actually going to die because he gets like stuck on a spike, and then you have to play as Ellie in the winter, and you have to somehow, outmaneuver these like this cannibal gang, and it's really creepy. There's lots of different aspects to it, and then obviously the ending is just a bit mental and so tense but so fun.
Yeah, Neil, Paddy, you got any points?
I haven't played it. It would be unfair for me to vote on this
I'd
one.
say gold myself.
But let's vote on it.
I, for one, don't really like The Last of Us as a series.
You're really breaking my heart here.
I feel the Uncharted series is preferable.
Oh, Uncharted's well better.
Oh no,
I will try and justify it, for me, I kind of feel like, remember earlier when I was saying about Red Dead, I kind of felt I had a slightly outdated kind of design. I kind of got that feeling playing the original Last of Us, For my liking, it's a little bit too restrictive in the way it makes you do things. But that's just one thing. I have another problem with Last of Us, and that's really the tone it takes. It kind of jars with my understanding of video games. Like, The Last of Us is a game that has no happiness in it, isn't it? It's really bleak, and it is bleak for about 15 or 20 hours with very little else in it. And it fights to be realistic and everything. Like, I don't know, you guys might have heard about I can't remember the word they use for it, but the long hours the developers are using, crunching, that's it. the long hours the developers are doing to like make the game, right? Like they had their developers like studying pictures of like dead bodies after they'd been hung just to create that extra level of realism, which for me doesn't really stand for what a video game should be. For me, a video game should be, fun and kind of joyful. It shouldn't be like 20 hours of depressing realism. And that's kind of what I think.
It is an apocalypse, though, so it'd be a bit weird if it wasn't quite bleak. And there are some really lovely moments in it. Like, I think there's one near the end of the game where you go onto this balcony and you see, like, these animals, like a giraffe and everything, just walking about. And it's really a beautiful sight.
Yeah, I recall that scene, but the whole game, for me, it's just too dreary. I can't really get much behind a series that emphasizes, like, realistic drearyism. A video game should be about escapism, in my opinion, and The Last of Us is not that. Just doesn't fit my conception of what a game should really be.
Right, guys.
I would bronze it.
I think time for voting.
So gold won that.
So gold, are we putting gold?
Wait,
Well,
so we got one for gold, one for bronze, one for platinum.
We've got 2 for gold.
Okay, I'll go for gold then.
Okay, right. I want to get through this one quickly because it's similar in a lot of ways to some of the stuff we talk about. I'm talking about Call of Duty here. We have probably played every single aspect of this game, whether it be campaign, multiplayer, or zombies. This franchise has left such a legacy on the shooter genre that it will unlikely be unmatched. One thing that I did find interesting is that the first Call of Duty was awarded several Game of the Year awards, which is something you wouldn't really expect.
Well, it was ahead of its time, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. It was the start.
They hadn't realised how much money they can make from multiplayer.
I think before that, really, you had Medal of Honor. That was really it, in a sense.
Oh, guys, remember when Medal of Honor was a thing?
Yeah, but
Not really.
That can be on part 2 if you want to. But I've put this in gold because I think, like I said, the legacy of it. I think, let's be honest, if we look back, some of the campaigns are the best shooting campaigns that we've ever played. I'm talking like Black Ops. I'm talking Modern Warfare. I think multiplayer. I think that is probably what brings it down. Online aspect, because we're at that stage again where we talk about just money for better weaponry, better camo, better anything really. But it's campaigns. We still play zombies to this day. We've started on World War II lately, which we enjoy. But yeah, you do have that lottery of what you get. Especially, I can't remember which game it was. It might be in Advanced Warfare with weapons crates and stuff. But yeah, this is. I feel it's gold. I will now.
I could not put this any lower than gold purely because Call of Duty Black Ops 1 is my favourite game of all time. And the memories I have playing that game, this might sound dramatic, but I'll genuinely take those memories like with me forever because I just had such amazing times in that game. So I couldn't put it any lower than gold.
This is platinum.
You think?
Yeah.
Well, I'm pleasantly surprised.
I want the first-person shooter. This is the benchmark that all first-person shooters are compared to. And you talk about the loot crates. Call of Duty was actually quite late on the train in terms of the microtransaction party. I think Advanced Warfare, the one you mentioned, that's the first one that actually got heavily into it. And by then, Call of Duty had already sort of run its course. But you go from Call of Duty 1 to Call of Duty 3. You've got the Call of Duties that are based around their single player, their stories. Then you get into Call of Duty 4 and you revolutionize multiplayer gaming just as a concept.
Then you get World at War, which introduces zombies.
While continuing to have the revolutionary multiplayer. You get Modern Warfare 2, which is possibly the most iconic game to us, to our generation, and then Black Ops comes in, which becomes the second big money maker for Call of Duty. It's at this point that you've started to realize, they've split companies. This franchise has become so big. They've got two companies making these games because they're able to make that much money from them.
Okay, I'm pleasantly surprised. I did want to put it platinum, but I didn't think you'd.
I couldn't put it
agree.
platinum because the evolution of the game hasn't been good. It's got worse as it's went on. I think we talk about sports franchises not evolving enough. I think this has evolved too much. Like we start to see super futuristic warfare in the games, which it's not what we want. Like being able to jump about and fly. We like the simplicity of a Black Ops 1 and being able to tell the difference between the weapons and the simplicity of the zombies and not having too much in the way of story, and it's just simple but super, super effective. Great campaign, great multiplayer, great zombies. It's the perfect COD game, but it has got worse since then. So that's why I'm going to put it in gold.
I was going to say what Paddy basically said. I couldn't put it as platinum just because of how it's kind of tailed off in its previous several years. I think maybe since Black Ops 3, that kind of time. After that, it's kind of just been, it's gone off a trail. It's these exosuits, you're running on walls, jetpacks, these special abilities. It's just it doesn't feel like COD anymore. But because of how good it was for such a long time, I couldn't put it any lower than gold either. It's a great franchise, and if it stopped, I mean, it was never gonna stop after Black Ops 3 or whatever. But if it stopped then, I mean, it might just be the best franchise of all time. But the way it's carried on the last few years, I have to go gold.
Okay, so Neil, decide and vote.
I mean, for me, you can't deny the series, is certainly the benchmark that defined first-person shooters for a generation, probably generations to come, to be honest. However, there have been some absolutely incredible Call of Duty games over the years, but there have been, and especially in recent years, a lot of astoundingly mediocre ones. For every Call of Duty 4, there is, anyone remember that game with Kevin Spacey in the campaign?
We've talked about it. About it multiple times. Advanced Warfare.
But for every game like that, you have I remember. I think there was one of them. I think it might have been Black Ops 3. That had one of them had branching story choices. It was wow, that's so cool. That's awesome. But then that innovation, what happens is for the next year they switch developer and that innovation's just gone. And that since all that kind of stuff kind of started to happen with the series, it's just been mediocre and unbalanced in quality. Its glory days are gone, and it's been gone for a while, but it still carries on as not so much a dead husk, but a withered figure. I'd probably put it as gold. You got to respect it for what it's done, but you can't look at it now and say it's still the star player.
Okay.
Yeah, gold's fair. Let's move to the last
fair play.
one.
Gold beats out platinum. We have Collins' last one now.
I'm going to be honest, lads. We really should have ended on me.
Is this going to be a quick one?
Well, have any of you guys played this game series other than
me? I cannot even tell what it is looking at the picture. Just put where you want and let's leave it at that.
Persona.
Oh, is it?
Persona. Yeah.
Right. Persona. For me, I kind of had a similar thing to Neil with the Yakuza series. First year of university. I was I'd finished my set of coursework for the year, and I messaged some mates, and no one wanted to go out because they hadn't finished their coursework. So fair enough. Let's look at the PSN store. Persona, read good things. Persona 5, read good things. And I thought, yeah, why not? 80 hours later, I'd completed the game. And I loved every second of it. So to a quick description of Persona. Persona is a game that typically involves you being in a Japanese high school, playing a student who ends up unlocking a power deep that's inside of you that allows you to fight demons. With that power, usually you start off with something small. In Persona 5, you try and make the PE teacher who sexually harasses students admit his crimes. And like with all of the Persona games, it eventually barrels over into something incredibly over the top as being the real villain. Again, Persona 5, a god was secretly controlling the minds of the entirety of humanity, and so you summoned Satan to shoot him in the face.
Whatever you say here, Collins, I'm just gonna
Nod.
smile and nod.
Smile and nod.
like in Madagascar, smile and wave, please.
Yeah.
Smile and wave. This is all I'm gonna do.
This is why it should not have been me to end it, because we're not having a debate here, because only I played this game.
I've watched some of it, and it's not my type of game. But I mean, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It's just not my type of game. So, but
plus it means that we're not ending the podcast with us scratching at each other's throats.
And to be honest, we've been going for about 7 hours right now. So
I'll be honest, lads. I've been looking at the time throughout the entirety of this podcast. I'm thinking, wow, runtime is way too high this year. Welcome to the bumper edition. Yeah, this is the bumper edition.
Where are you gonna put it?
I'm putting this in platinum. I'm gonna say it now. This game is so popular that Persona 4 Golden. It came out 8 years ago. It got released on Steam about 2 weeks ago. It broke the record for most people playing it at the same time for a Japanese RPG. 8-year-old game. Persona is that popular.
Oh yeah.
And I look forward to the next one.
Does anyone have any outstanding issues to say?
Nope.
I'm just devastated The Last of Us is in gold and not platinum.
We can't have it all.
Right. Anyway, guys, this has been a massive, massive podcast. We've had some really good debates. We've had some...
We've laughed, we've cried.
We've cried. Paddy nearly passed away at one point.
Listen.
Just a quick thing that we want to say before this. We actually now have a Twitter and Instagram account. Me and Neil have been setting them up. It is the Tier List Podcast on both Insta and Twitter. So give those a follow, give those a like. We're going to be starting to post in the coming days.
In the description.
Yeah. Remember to listen to this on Spotify, Google Podcast, Anchor, and there's a couple more that we've got as well.
But we can't be bothered. Tell you.
I've got all the links and videos anyway. But anyway, from me, Mangan, Collins.
Right, bye everyone.
Neil.
Thanks for listening. Stay safe.
Paddy.
Goodbye.
And Ritson.
I'm heartbroken.
This has been the Tier List Podcast. Thanks for listening, guys.